All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up.
When the sun lowers toward the horizon and the sky turns black.
I don't know what hovers over this house, but it was strong enough to punch a hole into this world.
When the normal makes way for the strange and unexplained.
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
It's time to question what is natural and what lies beyond our understanding.
You never told me they could do that. I didn't know they could do that.
It's time to enter the edge of the unknown with your host, Mark Henry.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
And good evening, and welcome to the Edge of the Unknown. My name is Mark Henry. I'll be your host for the next 2 hours. We've got Johnette Napolitano on the line already, folks. Super excited about this show. How are you?
Yes, me too. I'm so good. Mark, thank you so much for having me. I so love this.
Appreciate
this is so
you
great.
being. And I got to be honest. We're going to get right into things. Normally, I'll
no,
talk
lie
about,
to me.
No,
lie
I'm going
to
to lie to you all night long. It'll be terrific. This has been a really cool end of a rather short vacation. I've been doing stuff around the house up here in the Northeast. The weather has sucked. And yesterday I got done taking care of our master bedroom, and I said, you know what? Looked at my bride and said, you know, we haven't gone out anywhere. I'm going to see who's playing. Let's go see a local band tonight. And lo and behold, one of my favorite bands of all time happens to be in town. So I got to see the Tubes last night. And then I get to ramp.
Really?
Oh my God! They're still.
Fee Waybill.
Talk
about genius.
I tell you what, man.
Get out of town.
For a 60-year-old guy, he's still all over the place. The costumes, the whole
Oh
nine.
please!
It was
Oh my
awesome.
God, that's great. That's fantastic. I saw the Tubes many a time back in the day at the Roxy in Hollywood, and it was just unbelievable. The Tubes, man. Ray Stiles was the backup singer, I believe, and she was amazing. And she was a newswoman, and she passed away. This is getting off to a nice start. Calling Ray's spirit in a helicopter crash in the Hudson River.
Oh, no kidding! Wow.
Ray Stiles. That's right. And so there we go. You got to be careful where you go with me, man.
No, that's okay. And it's just I'm like perfect segue.
Anyway, much respect to the Tubes for playing because they're great.
Rad.
Yeah.
It was such a good time. I'm like, man, they're still bringing it. And then I'm like, well, the next.
We're White Punks on Dope.
Oh God, they played it forever, and they played a ton off.
Dad lived in Hollywood.
Yeah.
That's right.
So then I'm like, okay.
Give me. What is it? If I hang myself, if I get enough rope.
Hang myself when I get enough rope, man. Oh.
That's right.
And I'm like, okay, the show's coming up, and I get to talk to you. I'm like, man, we're doing music, we're doing paranormal. What a cool way to wrap up a weekend here. So I appreciate you coming on, and I've got this whole introduction about you. But I think everybody who is listening probably groks and knows who you are. But for those who don't,
I wouldn't take that for granted.
Exactly. So
I'm gonna. How many billion people are on the planet
are listening right now?
You. It's test 73 something or whatever. I guarantee you, most of them have no idea who I am.
Well, hopefully they will.
Or
after
if
this.
they think they know, where I was followed around at airports for a long time because Johnette Napolitano was the head of Homeland Security for a long time, and it made flying an unbelievable pain in the ass. Depending on what country I was in, they'd either give me free drinks on the plane or they wouldn't serve me at all, which was an interesting gauge. To kind of like, depending on what country I was in, what level we were hated anywhere I went. So that was very interesting. So anyway, she's not head of Homeland Security anymore. But I promise you that I was associated more with Johnette Napolitano for a long time than anybody knew who I was as far as you're concerned. But I am flattered. Thank you.
But, okay, so for everybody out there who doesn't, singer, songwriter, we're talking artist, we're talking.
I try.
You've got a lot of different talents. We're going to delve into all those tonight. For those of you playing at home,
let's go.
You know that her from Concrete Blonde, her solo career, you've got so much going on. And what I found out a few years ago was you're also into the stuff that I talk about. We're talking about the paranormal. We're talking about tarot. And I've never talked about tarot cards on this show in almost
Really?
10 years that
Really?
I've been doing it.
Oh.
Never.
Oh, this is great then.
So
oh,
this
wonderful.
we're going to have
Thank
a
you.
blast tonight. We're going to throw the
I've
phone
never
lines.
talked about it in an interview ever, so this is great.
Even
Thank
better.
you.
So we're going to throw the phone lines out there. If anybody would like to get on board the show, you'll be able to do
I
that.
don't read, by the way. I don't want to mislead anybody
No.
thinking that I read live on the air. I
Right.
don't do that. I don't think anybody should do that. It's just the energies are too many people, too many it's like being on a party line. It's very easy to mix up the signals. So I really don't. And actually, as an advice to anyone, don't believe anybody that says they can do that, because they can't do that. There's too many cross wires. And you can make too many mistakes. So that's just something that I don't suggest you believe that anybody can do at all, ever.
Good way to actually
There you go.
segue in that.
Disclaimer.
So, no, that's perfect. 716-218-3557 is the number, but we're going to establish some stuff before we get going with the phone calls.
Right on. Let's
The
go.
Edge of the Unknown at gmail.com. There is a live chat room at theedgeoftheunknown.com. If you click on that little button at the top of the screen that says live chat, join us there. You can talk with other people who are listening in the room, and you can shoot us a question, and I will field those as best I can. It's hard doing all this stuff, but we will make sure Johnette gets your question. So, okay, you're multi-talented.
Good luck, my brother.
You've got all this stuff going on. Which came first, an interest in music and the arts, or was the paranormal thing happening?
There is no separation to me from the time I was 9 years old. All right, let's start when I was 5. When I was 5 years old, the first thing I remember is drawing. And I drew like crazy. I drew before I could actually make letters and write. And what I used to draw were faces. And the problem I felt with a face was the nose. I didn't understand what a nose belonged on a face. And I went to UCLA when I was 12, in a gifted child program in Los Angeles, California. Back in the day, there was actually, there were class sizes where teachers could actually manage it and actually notice something in a child and actually nurture that. And one of the things was art. The very first thing that was obvious, but I couldn't manage noses on a human face. And then the first thing I made at UCLA when I was 12 was clay, and a clay alien. And I said it was my dad. And I remember somewhere in the archives, that's in the LA Times, and I remember my mom laughing so hard because they're like, she says it's her father. I didn't mean it in a derogatory way. I meant it that I don't even know how I meant it. I was 12 years old. But very shortly after that, it was apparent that I could play by ear. I remember somebody owed my dad some money, and they couldn't pay him, and so they gave us an upright piano. And I went over right after seeing The Wizard of Oz for the first time. That was a long-ass time ago. And I just picked out Somewhere Over the Rainbow in front of my parents, and they both looked at each other like we have an alien, in our midst. And it was just, I've never felt connected. I was the kid that always, like, there was an episode of X-Files where the kid just looked at adults and said, no one's saying what they mean, no one's saying what they're really thinking, and all they care about is what other people think. And that's all I've thought about grown-ups, air quotes, all my life. And I stopped fighting it. I just finally stopped fighting it. There were people that nobody else could see but me. And music, that's where the music comes from. I would write lyrics and hear melodies. To this day, I'll hear melodies that I can't play, and I have to sit and learn what I'm hearing. So I have Nikola Tesla tattooed on my arm, and Nikola Tesla is basically my Jesus, ascended master. He managed to be the alchemist. He was the alchemist, and with the best of intentions, which is why I admire him so much. So this has always been part of my DNA, but the problem has been like subverting this. And this, I think, is what's making a lot of people crazy, a lot of kids crazy. A lot of people crazy is that we are trained. We're being told to just not listen to it. Our line to God does not belong to priests or anybody. It's our communication, and our ancestors are here to assist us, and we need to keep those lines open. And it's only when we try to shut them down that we suffer and we kind of burn internally, kind of like just it's just very unhealthy the way that we're blocking these energies, because we need them collectively right now, and it's very natural and it's very wholesome, and all these. Anyway, go ahead, ask something.
Well, so it sounds like
Sorry.
it sounds like you came from very encouraging.
I thought when I started this, I said 3 hours is going to be so long. Now I'm like, this is going to be so fast.
it flies. It flies. When you bring that up, it sounds like you had a pretty encouraging family where it wasn't stifled. It was, yeah, go for it, explore. Whatever you want to check out, go ahead.
For a moment, yes. And I feel fortunate about that. And the reality of it was that window was very short, because the reality of it was the more kids and the more work and everything else, it just was physically impossible. The way it is today, it's like the classrooms are so crowded that even if you're a teacher and you notice something special about a child, the hoops you have to jump through to nurture that sensitivity and that sensibility is just difficult logistically, So it's simply a matter of mass, really. It's really difficult because of the sheer volume of people and noise that it's hard for us to even hear ourselves, let alone take the time to see it in a child and recognize it and nurture it. It's very, very difficult physically and logistically, and I admire anybody who actually takes the time and can do that,
So when did you actually get into performance rather than just noodling around like a lot of people do? Was it something that happened pretty early on?
Well, I remember being in junior high school, and I played guitar. My dad got me a guitar when I was 9 years old, when he saw that there was an ear there. It was like, what the heck, this kid, we've got to nurture this. It was very, very profound. Mm-hmm. And I knew I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to draw. I wanted to be a fashion illustrator. I wanted to sew. I love to sew, and I wanted to design. That's what I wanted to do. But I didn't have – my family split up before I could go to school, and you need to go to the right school to do things like that. I didn't realize that it was political, and it is. And as the college system, the university system, it's just kind of stupid. But I didn't get to go where I wanted to go. But one thing that I did know, and my family had split up by then, so I lied about my age to start working when I was 15 because I needed to go to work. My family split up. And one thing that I noticed was that when I picked up a guitar and sang at a party or whatever, everybody shut up and listened. And I knew that there was bank there, plain and simple, just like anybody else. Just like, I've been a flamenco student for freaking 20-something years. I studied in Spain. Carmen Amaya, one of my the most influential artist in my life, was a gypsy singer, very, very gypsy myself, and she was actually buried with her shoes off. She wanted to start to dance because that's when people paid attention, and she supported not only her whole family, she basically supported many families. And this is when you come from a place where you've like, whoa, this is bank. I got to do this. And I knew it. I knew that was where I could excel quickly. A gallery artist, my God, that would take me my whole life. I needed to support myself and support my family, and that's a gypsy soul, man, and that's what I did. And so I started singing and playing guitar, and as soon as I could, I was performing with just high school bands or whatever, and I knew that's what I had to do. And when I was, I think, 19 when I stumbled into a job at Leon Russell's studio. And when I walked in there, I just said, there's no other world I want to live in. And Leon Russell, for those of you, Google it, get on your Google, I know you got it, was the biggest rock star in the 70s. He was beyond that. He was they called him the master of space and time. There are no words I can use to describe Leon, except that he was Elton John's biggest influence. And that was my mentor. And I was unbelievably fortunate enough to breathe the same air for quite a while as Leon, and I was not going back. That was a world that There was no going back from that once I saw that that was possible, Willie Nelson stopping by, George Harrison stopping by. It was unbelievable. I mean, it was like, here's any time of day that you want to wake up and play, record, shoot, dream, make it happen. It was 24/7 at the mercy and of Leon's inspirations. And it was absolutely a college education that you cannot buy. And so then I knew, and I was only 20, and then I knew that, like, this is it. I'm sorry. This is possible, and this is where I'm living from now on, all my life. And it was just absolutely brilliant. He was so in touch with the source. It was just a miracle to behold his creativity, and it was unbelievable,
Johnette Napolitano, my guest here on The Edge of the Unknown. We'd love to hear from you. 716-218-3557 is the way for you to get on board. The Edge of the Unknown at gmail.com is the email address. Well, you talk about college, and you could go down that road, and obviously you found that place that you really needed to be. A lot of folks will say that old phrase, everything happens for a reason, but it seems like in arts and musicians, it always seems to work that way where, well, maybe I'm going to take a chance, and it turns out to be the best thing that you could ever have possibly done.
It wasn't about taking a chance. I had no chance to take. If you look at somebody like Elvis, if you look at, that was the only way I could support people I loved. That was my gift. I could study for 4 years and be a fucking dental assistant, or I could go out and fucking sing and have people pay me $20 a piece. And that's more money. It's as simple as that. It wasn't a choice. It was what I was given to work with. Okay. There was no way my family couldn't afford. I couldn't afford to be first class. I was never going to be first class. I wasn't aware there was a class system in this country. And there is. Trust me. And that's what I had to work with. Just like Elvis, man. He went out there. He was just your white trash dude. But he had something nobody else had. And that's every great blues artist. That is it. That's all I have. There's no choice. That is what you're given, and you go out there, and the spirit is much bigger than you, and that's what's coming through my throat. Not me. It comes from up there. And it comes from a lot of people, a lot of souls before me. And that's my job. It's not a choice. It's not a choice at all.
Let's take a quick sidebar here, because in the day and age that we live in now, everyone does think that they have what others might have. And I don't want to say that they don't, but they might not have the same drive or what you're talking about, that this is all I've got, this is what I'm going to do. But they might still have that dream where they're not really willing to woodshed and actually put it into practice.
That doesn't sound like an esoteric question to me. That's kind of, you have to clarify what you mean when you say the beginning of the sentence. You're going to have to clarify.
Sure. Okay. Let me.
I don't quite understand it.
Let me rephrase. You were talking about, the different classes, and I guess maybe the better way to say this is, there are those who are dreaming but not willing to work.
I'm not talking about classes as artists.
Sure.
I'm talking about classes in society
right.
in the United States of America.
Me too. So what I'm saying is that I think, and this is where I'm getting at, maybe I'm wrong. So my question is that part of allowing certain people to get to where they want to because they are dreaming but not willing to work, and others who are busting their ass but don't get there?
I don't think that's a question for us to address in this
sure.
context at all.
No worries.
You'd need 3 hours to talk to me about that. So let's talk about ghosts or something.
Let's get back to tarot. So let's introduce that.
Yes,
when did you first get into tarot?
Let's do that.
Sure. When did you first get into tarot cards?
Well, when I was about 16, but I've been reading cards for a long, long time. I also have had mentors. I can, it's just a language, tarocchi, which is Italian. It goes back to being a game. The history of tarot goes back. It's a written language. As a flamenco student, this ties together for me because the gypsies, the Roma, who are an actual race of people, were burned along with everybody else back in the day, when the Bushes went into making ovens with the Germans to do that. And so they did. And as an Italian American with a name, the joke when I was a kid was like, why did Hitler throw in an Italian for every 6 Jews to grease the oven? You know, that's the shit I heard when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. So I'm 60, man. I remember all that stuff. So that all comes into play. Now, Tarocchi was Italian. This is the language of people who cannot maintain a written history. When we bomb people, we bomb their libraries, their museums, and destroy every ounce of their history. When the English wanted to destroy the Irish, the first thing they did was go for their instruments, because the history is oral. It's musical. Music, the history of music is an oral history. And the first thing people destroy, the first thing encroaching occupational force destroys is music and art, or seizes the art, as the Nazis did. So Tarot is a language that you have to learn. It's very deep. It encompasses all the way back to Egyptian, and it's just an incredible language that incorporates numerology, astrology. I mean, 4,000-year-old shit, and it gets deeper, 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 deeper. This is the only way history has survived, because we're all about destroying everybody else's history, you know, and that's the way to erase it and recreate it. So Tarot, to me, the deeper that I get into it, it's the archetypes are so universal and so global and so timeless and very healing. That's the most important thing. And I hate that word. As a matter of fact, thanks for letting me get on a rant about the healing thing. Sure. Talk to somebody who's lost their legs about healing. That's such a new age term that's being thrown around by everybody and their mother right now. After every shooting, oh, we got to heal. Bullshit. You're not going to heal. Your kid was just killed. You're not going to heal. Your leg was just cut off. You'll get along. You'll learn to, if your arms are cut off, you'll learn to eat with your feet. But don't talk to me about healing, because that's a new age term, okay? I don't know what can substitute for it. But the tarot is something that tells a story, and it tells a true story every single time. So that's why they burn witches and people who know the language. And by the way, that is why they hire people who speak the language. You don't think, I've had mentors that work for the National Security Agency. You know, you don't think the government hires us? Yes, they do. By the way, government, please don't hire me. I know nothing. I'm crazy. Thank you. Disclaimer. Okay. Next question.
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up, because, you know, growing up in the 80s, that was a huge revelation that Nancy Reagan had brought in, you know, her part of the paranormal.
Oh, my God.
I mean, everybody was blown away.
That goes back to Mary Lincoln.
Sure.
That goes back to every ruling class on the planet has astrologers. And that is just the history of the world, not just about Nancy Reagan, God bless her, Frank Sinatra sucking fucking soul. That wasn't nice. Sorry. That was not nice.
You're allowed.
Just
it's
saying.
Okay. It's my show. We can do what we want.
Yeah, all right. It's your show. That's right. No, Nancy Reagan, God bless her, whatever. But it's true that the ruling class has always had astrologers and consultants. Dude, really. The Bible is the most esoteric, supernatural book on the planet, you know, and nobody was without their musicians or their astrologers. Just saying.
And it's amazing because, like I said, growing up, late 70s, early 80s, it was always looked down upon. Don't play with a Ouija board. Don't mess with those tarot cards. It's bad, bad, bad.
By who? By who?
By who? Gosh, everybody in my neighborhood. Everybody blamed everything on Dungeons and Dragons, heavy metal music, and then video games. That was the downfall of everything.
I'm older than you. How old are you? How old are you?
I will be 44 next month.
All right, then I'm talking to a child. I don't even know about Dungeons and Dragons and shit. I don't know anything about that, dude. Nothing, okay?
Sure.
Nothing about that. But I'll tell you who told you is your fucking church people.
Oh, yeah.
Who tell you that you need a middleman to God, and you don't, okay? You have fucking ignorant church people who sit up there, make people feel guilty, make gay kids feel guilty. You know, they're nuts. They're just nuts. You know, I mean, I'm generalizing, and I don't mean to say all religious people are nuts, because I really do. I have a cross tattooed on my chest, so I have a disclaimer none of y'all have, and trust me, it hurts. So, and that was from my Russian grandmother. But I'll tell you who told you. People who somebody told them, and they didn't even believe it. You know, the same people who told them kept people in the closet for generations. made people join the military for generations for shit that they really, okay, I better ask another question.
Okay.
You said you had them written down.
I'm not reading any of those. We're having a conversation.
And I said I wasn't going to read them, but go ahead.
Okay.
I didn't read them.
Well, we'll step. No, but I think that is interesting when I bring that up. And in the church, and we don't need to bash it, but I think that was a lot of stuff.
I'll bash it. I think churches should pay taxes immediately.
Me too.
Churches
100%.
should pay taxes. Thank you. Go
100%.
ahead.
But I know since I've been doing this show, I actually have a cousin who is a Roman Catholic priest, and I've asked him a lot of stuff that are the weird questions.
Wait, hang on. Sorry, I have to tell this because I don't get to tell it often. What do you call a nun on a skateboard?
What's that?
What do you call a nun on a skateboard?
I don't know what.
A Roman Catholic. Carry on.
Okay. Perfect. God. And how did you know I like skateboarding? Anyway,
you sweet little thing. Go ahead.
I try. Anyway, but I bring these things up to him about exorcism and all this stuff that we were told, oh, that doesn't happen. We never do that. And he tells me, of course it does. None of that's a lie. All of that stuff, people are trained for all these things, but they just don't ever want to talk about it or let us explore the things that we're talking about right now.
Do you want me to talk about the Catholic Church right now?
No, I don't
think you do.
I would like you to talk a little bit more about tarot. And you said you started around 16. When did it become something that you really wanted it to be a bigger part?
I only got serious about it like lately because I had to take the last couple of years off.
Sure.
Because I was burning myself out, and I was on the road so much, I didn't realize that I was actually ill, and I was. And so I was commanded basically to take a couple of years off. And for a person that bangs around as much as I do, I'm an old road dog. I'm used to moving. My biggest challenge was to stay home and satisfy my wandering mind. I would have definitely been classified as OCD or all kinds of things when I was a kid, but they didn't have that back then. And so I have learned how to manage myself, but also from spirit more than anything else, more than anything could tell me. So being home, I got to focus on something that I had wanted to do. I mentioned my mentors. Another one was my dear, dear, dear mentor, Dolores, a.k.a. in New Orleans at the bottom of the Cup Tea Room, which is the oldest tea room in the United States in New Orleans since the 20s, like 4 generations of psychics, and they were my posse, man. Dolores was my mother for many, many years. I would call her from the road, and she took me up in that little place above the French Quarter and had me closing my eyes and teaching me, mind placement and all kinds of things. She trained me basically. And I knew, and as it's a natural state of things, that as one gets older and the spirit starts to take over the body as you ascend, your body naturally starts to deteriorate at a certain rate at a certain place. It's quite natural. The unnatural thing is ignoring that and trying to be the Americans that we are and deny aging, when in fact that's a beautiful period of time when your spirit is growing and taking over, and just you get lighter and lighter and lighter. And so my ability to read has been just incredibly increased. And so for the last, I guess, almost 2 years, I've been actually putting myself out there and reading for clients, and I absolutely love it. And I'm passing on what I know, and it's very natural to me. It was tormenting for a very long time. But now I understand that it's quite a natural thing, and the only thing tormenting about it was denying it. I'd call my friends from the road and go, I dreamt this last night, and it would happen, and I would feel really bad, like I caused it, and that's just something that it happens a lot. I had a huge breakdown before 911, and it took the form of looking up in the sky. I would sleep under my bed. I would put blankets in front of the windows. I took off. It was crazy. It was really, really crazy. I would have nightmares of window washers falling. Now, in 911, somebody must have been washing those windows in the morning, and they must have fallen. And all I had were nightmares of window washers falling, one after the other, and it freaked me out so bad. So this stuff used to really freak me out, and until I learned to control it and ask for it to be only positive and only to assist other people, which is what it's all about. That's what everybody will say. It's like, oh, you're so psychic, you know. Well, it doesn't work that way. You don't, know what's going to happen to you. There's a higher power, and all you have to be is in tune with it, and I really hate that. Here's something I'm going to throw in there because I can. Because I'm talking. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Is that everybody said, if you're so psychic, why did Trump win? Okay? Mm-hmm. I did work on that. The minute that election happened, I did work on that. And what I got was very clear from Spirit, a necessary tragedy. Okay? Now, that's exactly what Jay-Z just said, and said it much better. And it comes from Jay-Z, so I was like on my knees going, thank you, Jay, because people listen to Jay-Z. They're not going to listen to me. I'm a 60-year-old crazy old lady in the desert. But I did absolutely work on that, of course. A necessary tragedy. And what Jay-Z said was that we're talking about things that have not been talked about, and they needed to be talked about. They needed to be brought up to the surface. And that was it. Bam. I high-fived like all my spirits around me. I had my hands up in the air I was like, thank you, Jay, man, because, nobody will listen to me. But he said exactly what Spirit had the way Spirit had explained it to me. So I'm just happy to have that open, because that's what naturally happens at my age as a woman. Okay. There's the Virgin, the Crone, all that sort of stuff. If you're into the tarot, the stages of life, it's pretty universal, and we need to appreciate the stages of our life and the wisdom that we accrue, as we go through this. And the tarot, basically, everybody thinks their experience is so individual and so unique. It is not. It is not. We are all archetypes. We're fathers, we're daughters, we're mothers, we're cousins, we're sisters, we're pages, we're knights, we're kings. We're all going through these stages, and it's all very, very much, it's all very universal. We're all humans, basically. We're here going through the same experiences. So now you can ask me about my UFO experience if you want.
Before we do that, you want to grab a call before we have to take a quick break? But I do want to get back into the tarot.
Oh, sure. That might be fun.
Cool.
Okay.
Hey, you are on at the Edge of the Unknown with Johnette Napolitano. We're in area code 440. What's going on? Hello.
Uh-oh.
And did they hang up? I think they hung up.
Did they? Uh-oh.
Wow. Okay, well, you can call back, 716-2... We weren't talking that long. 716-218-3557 is the phone number for you to get on board.
They wait longer for George Noory.
Yeah, no kidding, really. I'm not Art Bell. Sorry. Give me a break. The phone lines are open to you. We're taking you up until 10 o'clock. Let's do this. I want to get into more of a breakdown of the basics of tarot when we get around the corner here.
Okay.
We're going to pay some bills. Right. Because, again, I'm not really familiar with it. I've played around with a lot of the other things, but I don't know anything about that. So let's do this. We are going to take a fast break. And, again, guys, the phone is open to you. Give us a yell and stay on the line.
They're all scared now.
716-218-3557. The Edge of the Unknown at gmail.com. We got some emails to get to as well, but we'll be back right after this. Everybody, stick around. I appreciate you listening to The Edge of the Unknown, the best in paranormal talk, and that's all you're going to get on a Sunday night? Good. That's exactly where you need to be. We're back right after this, everybody. Stick around.
It's a fact. The best sounding music comes from analog audio found on vinyl records. But high quality vinyl has been hard to find until now. Records Etc. in Williamsville, New York is your destination for new and used vinyl records in a variety of categories from blues to Zydeco. Located in the Eastern Hills Mall, Records Etc. is easy to find and fun to shop. Classical, rock, comedy, and new wave are waiting for you at Records Etc. So dust off your turntable or pick one up at the store and start listening to music the way artists intended it to be heard. They also carry rock and roll memorabilia, t-shirts, posters, and more. That's Records Etc. in the Eastern Hills Mall in Williamsville. Call 716-481-7177 and ask for Ray for more information. Records Etc. Tunes for our times.
Listen and imagine. It takes 5 seconds to send a text, and for those 5 seconds, you're driving blind. Life is worth more than a text. Stay alive. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Hello. What are your fears? Are you badgered by domestic affairs, haunted by ghosts or demons, terrorized by those who would use magic as a weapon, or tormented from within? I can end it. I can stop it. I can cast them away, for I am a sorcerer, and protecting people from these things is what I do. Seek my services at sorcererforhire.com or call now for faster service 206-501-0444, because time is not on your side.
Whoa. The moment my son saw a redwood tree.
It's huge!
Is the moment I knew that for him,
You can't even see the top of that thing.
even the sky has no limit.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go. Your moment is out there. Find it at discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Looking for the best Japanese and Thai cuisine in Western New York? Then you have to visit Teton Kitchen at 415 Dick Road in Depew. From appetizers and soups, simple, special, big, and fusion-style maki, to sushi, sashimi, and tempura, you won't get a range of items like this anywhere. Hungry for more? Teton Kitchen offers a full dinner menu and kushiyaki dishes, as well as a huge variety of sake, wine, beer, both domestic and Asian imports. Owner Taka and his bride Kin are proud to boast that Teton Kitchen is Yelp's #1 rated restaurant in Western New York, and they welcome you for lunch or dinner 7 days a week with takeout and online ordering available. Visit TetonKitchen.com for their full menu, hours, and online ordering, or call 716-393-3720. Teton Kitchen, 415 Dick Road in Depew.
Itadakimasu.
Hi, my name is Stanton Friedman, the Flying Saucer Physicist. I've just been on The Edge of the Unknown.
Stan Friedman. Love having Stan Friedman on. He's so much fun to have on. Talking UFOs. We're going to talk UFOs, too, with Johnette Napolitano. She is my guest here this evening on The Edge of the Unknown. I want to talk about the tarot. We've got an email that I want to get to because we haven't gotten to any of the emails. The phone lines are open, and I want to
Thank
get
you,
to...
by the way, everybody who's listening.
Yeah.
You guys rule. Thank you very, very much. Really appreciate it. I have the best fans in the world, really. Here's where I have a problem with Facebook.
Sure.
I don't classify people the way they do. I don't know friends, fans, this, that. I just have a problem classifying people. Just saying. That's all. Thank you very much. Go ahead.
No worries. This comes from a live chat. Patty Z asks, I would like to ask Johnette the inspiration for Darkening of the Light. Patty, thanks for the question. Appreciate it.
Oh, Patty, thank you for the question. That inspiration came, oh my goodness, my heart. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Spirit. Was a beautiful spirit. His name was Curtis. And he was the stage manager for REM for many, 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 many years. And Curtis was the bomb. He was just dope. He was just a member of the band. And Curtis passed of cancer many years ago, and that was for him. That was written for him, because he was just a sweet soul that everybody loved, and he was just a roadie's roadie, like, you know, the old-fashioned kind. You know what I mean? He was just a sweetheart. And thanks for asking. And I really am blessed to have known Curtis. And hello, REM, and my hands up in the air, because Curtis the Spirit, you got that call through, bitch. There you go.
So
thank you.
Here's a great follow-up to that, I think. When we talk about these ideas and the idea of muse, do some things just pop into your head, or do most of them come from personal experiences?
It's not mine. Nothing
Sure.
is mine.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing is mine. I have to learn things that I dream, things that come to me. I'm basically a slave to the conduit, you know what I mean? It's like, once again, I get back to the point where you have to control it. You know, it really is something that you have to tune into on a Nikola Tesla level. When the ideas come, you have to write them down, you have to record them, you have to draw them. It's a beautiful thing. I just learned recently, because I'm studying with my readings, I want to get deeper and deeper and deeper into numerology and astrology, and between your sun sign and your rising sign, there's 2 hours a day where they actually come together, and you are more you than any other time of day. And that's generally speaking at sunrise, when I'm definitely on fire, man. Sunrise is just my time. And it's just like, the energy is just incredible, especially out here in the desert. It's just undeniable. It's just like somebody pouring gas on your head in the morning. It's like, get up and do shit, you know? Anyway, go ahead.
I'm sitting here thinking, yeah, I'm the same way. 5:15, got to get up.
Really?
Got to work out.
I'm
just
telling you,
get moving, man. Just
I know.
start
Now I know
kicking
why
ass.
old people did that. You know, my grandpa was like in his 90s. He'd just be bashing down the door in North Carolina when I stayed with him, like, 5:30 in the morning, going, get up. And now I get it. Now I get it. It's just a beautiful time, and I do my best work then.
You mentioned being a conduit, and this is something that I talk to when I talk to folks who are channeling spirit, and you mentioned something about control in the first segment. And how did you get to the point where you were able to discern between the dreams that you're having and the messages that you're getting, the same way that these folks tell me that sometimes they have to tell spirit to kind of back off?
Yes, you do. And that's a great question. And yes, you do. You do. You have to have a relationship. You have to just go, I got to do this right now. Protect me, be with me. I got a flat yesterday out in the desert. I was there for 3 hours watching my temperature gauge go up from 105 to 113 and back again while I waited 3 hours. And I didn't worry about it really, because I knew that I wasn't supposed to be on the road. I was cool. I had my little, I was watching my little YouTube things or whatever, and just sitting there, with my whatever. But it's a certain trust in the relationship. You just go, be with me when I need you, but you're here to be your own spirit as well. And, you have to make your own decisions. You are on the planet to do that. You have equal power to anybody that you see. And you have also your ancestors and all that spirit that you have distilled throughout many, many lifetimes. It's just they don't want you to be aware of your power. Once you are, there's a lot more confidence involved, because everything's happening for a reason. I wasn't on the road because I wasn't meant to be on the road. What if I avoided an accident? What if I would have gotten rear-ended something? You learn to trust. And it just makes life easier. What's the worst that can happen? Right? What's the worst that can happen, really? And once you learn to incorporate that family, then then you feel very strong and very loved.
And that's a skill in and of itself, of being able to say, trust yourself, and it's okay to, rather than fall prey to everything around you that's saying something else, and get out there, do that. And if you say to yourself, no, that's okay.
Well, if you're gonna, let's go ahead for the sake of it and just repeat the doctrine of any church or whatever. That's the most haunted book, the Bible. There's more ghosts in the Bible. For God's sake, it was just, no pun intended, but that was a good one. It was just Easter, you know, and it was just Easter. If the rising of a Holy Ghost isn't a ghost, I don't know what to tell you, man. You know, you're telling me your ghost is okay, but mine aren't? Fuck you.
Oh, my God.
You know?
I wish you and I were connected on Facebook. We should be. I just put something up last week.
No. Facebook, no. Facebook is not good for people.
I'll send it to you then.
No,
but it was
good.
a little meme.
We're connected now. We're connected now.
But this
right?
was you're going to love this. This was a meme that I threw out there. And it's certainly not original, but it was, oh, you want to have God back in school. Which one, yours or all of them?
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. The dude this is hilarious because some dude posted on Facebook. I blocked him, but I haven't taken it down. I guess I didn't take it down. I don't really know how to work Facebook very well. I have a friend that helps me, but this dude was like giving me shit about being on this show, like go play music or whatever.
Oh,
I blocked him, but let me tell you that I went to this dude's site and he was rocking a T-shirt that said Muhammad is a homo, and I'm
nice.
like, what the fuck? I'm like, I don't even want you to like my music. Go away. And blocked his ass. And I'm just like, you got to be kidding me, man. I was just like, I just shake my head and go, whatever. I don't need friends, air quotes. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I don't need that shit. I don't need it. I never did. Never. And I love being connected with people. I've connected with some amazing people that I would not have otherwise. But I think it does more harm than good at this point. So that's just for my head personally. I'm just talking from my head. I can't handle that kind of shit. I get pissed at the human race, and I don't want to be, you know?
And you're here, and hopefully he's wherever he is, he's pissed off that you are here, which is great.
Yeah, fuck him.
Johnette Napolitano, my guest here on the Edge of the Unknown, 716-218-3557. Hey to everybody in live chat. It's great to have you here. So let's talk a little bit about tarot. What are the basics of it? Like I said, I've never messed around with it.
The basics, okay. All right. Oh, good. Okay. It's all about balancing energy, okay? You're talking about elements, fire, water, whatever, 4 elements or something. I'm going to talk fast now. My mind's going to start going fast. I've got to slow down. Air, earth, fire, water, okay? Now, we're all made of these things. Now, the essential, what we have to do to take the best care of ourselves is balance those energies, and the planet for that matter. That's all it's about, is balance. When, you know, we have the planets in the solar system, if there wasn't perfect balance, would go spinning off into space. But the energies are so perfectly balanced that they don't, okay? So it's basically, you know, you have wands or clubs. You know, I also, for the clients, because I read for clients and I do a year spread, which is Cards of Destiny, which is an old system with regular poker playing cards, which like a regular gypsy system, which is older and it doesn't correspond with tarot necessarily. Some places it does, some it doesn't. But the 4 elements are basically the same if we're talking about the West, you know. So you're made of water, air, fire, and earth. That's basically the deal. Depending on your, you know, your birth chart and your sign, we're made up of more elements than the other. Some of us are more fire, we're more water. The water signs are, say, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, are more emotional in nature and more affected by the moon, say, which pulls the tides and pulls water. The fire signs, Sagittarius, Leo, Aries, you know, fiery nature. So your thing for balance would be to, whether with people, location, diet, anything, would be to balance out your fire energy with earth energy. And it's like a rock, paper, scissors thing, you know. Water kills fire, fire destroys earth. You know, all that sort of stuff, which cross. I've studied, the I Ching. For years, I was the 12 translations of the I Ching I had, and it's all element. It's all about elements. It's all about balance. That's essentially the thing. So if you're out of balance, is when you feel tense, and when you feel tense, when you feel nervous, when you can't make a decision, when you're scared, when you're stressed. What's off balance? What's off balance? And that means knowing yourself. I really believe that if you started in old India, they used to do this. You know, of course. I mean, just start with a chart. when a kid is born, immediately it's just like, what's the chart? So that you see the weaknesses and the strengths, or what is perceived as weakness and strength. You see the kid's not social. What's his strength? Well, he's the bookworm, or he can do this, or he can do that. It's really a wonderful way to know yourself. And I just think that a good knowledge of your own chart is worth 30 years of therapy. You have more information. You know who you are. You don't have to work against your own grain. You know what I mean? You know you're an introvert, okay? So you don't have to feel bad about not being an introvert, okay? Which you may go to a Western psychiatrist or Freudian psychologist who would tell you you're doing something wrong. Society tells you you're doing something wrong. If you don't have this many friends, if you don't have, this, that, and everything else, then there's something wrong with you. That's just damaging, but that's what they do to sell you things. And so it really is a wonderful thing to know that much about yourself, to know what is natural to you and what is not, so that nobody can tell you there's something wrong with you. You know?
Is this something that's easier to get into and learn how to do properly through tutelage, or is this something that somebody can order a book and kind of teach themselves?
Dude, you can learn how to take out your own liver on YouTube.
This is true. I'm sure there is one out there.
You can transplant a kidney, man. Just go ahead, kid. Just sign on.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's there. And no joke. Yeah, just go to Pinterest, man. You can go ahead and, build your own house from scratch. But in all seriousness, there are some amazing readers and astrologers on YouTube. Amazing. And and I'll tell you something. It is a beautiful thing, because some of these kids are young. They're from every possible country in the world, every possible color, nationality, age, race. There's 80-year-olds. There's young kids. It's just mind-blowing, the community. I'm inspired, having discovered this network. Where I first discovered it in New Orleans. Okay, where my mentor Dolores was, and taught me many things. And I was to hang out with the girls down there who were the psychics down there. Predominantly, Otis is the man who predicted the Saints would win the Super Bowl. You can go on the Bottom of the Cup Tea Room website and check out Otis. He is the man, and he's been there forever. But that was my tribe. I was like, oh wow, other people. New Orleans was the first place that I realized other people were like this. Actually, Tennessee was, because it was the South, because I'm born in Hollywood, and it's a relatively young place. The West Coast is young in the first place, but it's young. And it was only when I was 19 and I went down and lived in Tennessee when I was married, and I realized that there were ghosts showing up, and I lived on an old slave quarters on an old farm, and shit got weird, man. I'd wake up and I'd be floating around near the ceiling, and I'd look in the living room, and there was all this furniture from the turn of the century, and it was crazy. That was the first time that really things started to get in my face, because of the history of the region, wars and slavery and all that. It really kicked my ass. A kid from California, I had no idea, but I had, since I was a little kid, looking at adults going, they're lying. Why are they lying? But things really started to roll when I got to the South,
I would think it's interesting that you bring that up, that when you go to an older place that's a little more steeped with tradition, but at the same time, when anybody brings up, there's something in New Age or tarot or all this, they point to California. And for me, that California is pretty relatively young as far as states go.
Yes. Very much, very young. And there's and the West. If I'm okay, here's where I get to whore something. I made a video last November, a song I've been working on for a long time called Crib Girl, and there's a video and it's on YouTube. It's called Crib Girl, and it's about Wild West hookers basically, but that's a cheap label, because these women shaped the Wild West, and the reason that they came out here was to be free. They were of every possible class, every possible race, every possible nationality. And they came out here, changed their names. Some of them were poor and basically recruited. Well, there was only very few jobs where there was no work. There was no towns. They would follow, gold miners around and the railroad workers around. And basically communities sprung up around them because these women were the ones that built schools, built churches, and all this sort of thing. But the history of it's phenomenal. And empath, I'm very empathic. That's been a problem and not a problem. It's also something that really needs to be managed because you actually feel somebody's pain or whatever, you reflect and feel it, and it becomes kind of a loop. So sometimes in social interaction, it's really, really difficult because you're kind of creates a loop. If somebody's nervous, you feel their nerves, and then it's just like it's really a problem socially. But as far as channeling art, I could feel these women living out in the desert. I could actually completely feel what they were doing, and not just one, all of them. In the video, I'm myself, but I'm a different kind of women than these ladies of the night that had very colorful names and were really heroes in their own right, and were much more than just prostitutes and all that. But it was really a true channeling. It was an absolute channeling because I have my feet in the sand. I'm breaking through ice to feed, to get water to feed my horse, stuff like that. It was just became a very tangible, sensual experience writing this. I like to wear dresses in the desert. You know what I mean? I just I don't know. It was just, I could just feel it. I could just feel the spirit of these women when there was nothing here, nothing. And to build something, to never mind, actually have children and actually, it just boggles my mind to think of it, and I have a roof over my head, I mean, when the winds kick up to 70 and you're out there trying to save things, it just blew my mind. So that's where I really tap in. I've learned to focus it there, and that is where it's valuable because there's the art. Look, artists, when I was writing, I will automatically write things. Automatic writing, I'm sure your listeners are familiar with, and you're familiar with, is when you basically just tap in and let the hand go. I don't need a pen. I don't need anything because, I can tell what they're writing. And a lot of times they'll write words that I don't use, like eventide. What the hell is eventide? Evening tide, and I have to look it up. And livery, things like that, I have to look up the vocabulary because I don't even know it. So it's not coming from me, obviously. A chord that I don't know how to play will come to me, and I'll have to sit and learn it on guitar. So I've learned that this is what they want. And when we cross, this is what we'll want. We'll want to be heard, and we'll want to continue giving, whether it is from this side or the other side, and you'll want people to hear you. My father, okay, glad you asked. My dad, when he got cancer and he passed pretty quick, but he knew my shit, and when you want to take a call? Sorry, because this is an 11:11 story, and this is going to be a little while, but we need to. Go ahead.
We do have to take a break at the top of the hour. So I'm going to do it. This is interesting because Nikki wrote in, Nikki T, you answered her question before we even actually got to it. So it was all about how cards and your feelings play into the creation of music and art. And I think you answered that pretty aptly.
Wonderful. Thank you, Nikki.
So, Nikki, thanks for writing in. I appreciate that.
Nikki. I knew that you were going to ask that. See?
Must have.
That's how I roll.
Uncanny. Let's grab one more from, this came from Jerry. Jerry says, Dear Ms. Napolitano, I know I could have just as easily posted this to Facebook, but I saw the email address and took a chance to reach out this way. Okay. I've been listening to your work since the early 90s, and all of that time, you right alongside other favorites of mine like Badfinger and the Beatles have been a tremendous musical influence for me. Thank you for this. These days, my teenage daughter can't get enough of your music either. I wish you all the very best in your current and future artistic endeavors. You are truly one of the great ones. Take care. From Jerry. Jerry, thanks for being on the edge. Appreciate it.
Jerry, that is so sweet. I thank you so very much. I thank you very much. My dad thanks you too. I have his picture looking at me here. He's smiling.
That's awesome.
He goes, I told you this would work out. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, we do have to take a break. Patrick, I just got your question here in live chat. We will get to that around the other side of this break. So we're going to go pay some bills, and we'll be right back. More with Johnette Napolitano here on The Edge of the Unknown. Guys, you want to give us a yell? Feel free. 716-218-3557. Don't nobody go nowhere. Much more coming up here on The Edge of the Unknown. My name's Mark. Thanks for hanging out with me late on a Sunday evening here. We'll be back right after this.
And hold that sad song as all my friends are coming round.
Siggy's Good Food in Manhattan sets the standard for home-style comfort food in a warm and casual environment. Located at 292 Elizabeth Street between Houston and Bleecker, Siggy's Good Food offers something for everyone. Vegetarian and meat eaters alike will find dozens of dishes to whet their palates and satisfy their appetites at great prices. Siggy's menu has many gluten-free and lactose-free dishes too, and everything is made with 100% organic, sustainable, and whole food ingredients. See the full menu at siggysgoodfood.com or call 212-226-5775. Make it your business to check out Siggy's Good Food, open Monday through Sunday, 11 a.m. to 10:30 p.m., with brunch on the weekends from 11 until 3:30. Takeout and delivery are also available. That's Siggy's Good Food in Manhattan, siggysgoodfood.com, 212-226-5775. And remember, if you're an extraterrestrial, aliens eat free.
If you live in the Western New York or Southern Ontario area and are looking to get a tattoo, then go see the cats at Sixth Order Tattoo in Buffalo, New York. Voted Best Tattoo Shop by Buffalo Spree Magazine, these are the guys to see for any ink project you can dream up. Shop owner Chris Coppola and artist Joe Fomar, Andy Biscaglia, Nick Conter, Jake Miracle, and John Rutsky are proficient in many tattoo styles, including traditional American, Japanese, modern Polynesian, as well as illustrated and portrait tattoos. Have a design in mind? Bring it in. Stuck on ideas? They've got plenty to show you. I recently had my 8th piece of art inked by my man Joe Fomar, and I'm telling you, there's no other guy I trust with an ink gun, and that's why you should make an appointment at Sixth Order Tattoo today. Call them, 716-633-7171, or stop in. They're located at 3503 Genesee Street, just east of Union Road. Check out their website, sixthordertattoo.com, and find them on Facebook. Sixth Order Tattoo, the best ink for your body.
We all face multiple stressors each day, from work deadlines and home and family obligations, not to mention body aches and pains that come with both active and inactive lifestyles. A great way to ease those tensions is by floating at the Silver Essence Floating Spa in Williamsville, New York. What is floating? It's a highly effective and therapeutic relaxation experience in which your body is suspended in warm, comforting salt water without stimulation from lights or sounds. Lay back and let tension drift away as you float in nearly zero gravity while your body is replenished with essential minerals like magnesium, potassium, sodium, and calcium, minerals vital to our health that are lost throughout the day. Floating at the Silver Essence Floating Spa is great for anyone, athletes, those rehabilitating from injury, or if you're just looking for a new way to relax. Floating is even known to increase creativity and speed up the healing process. Silver Essence is open Monday through Saturday with convenient morning and evening hours, and they offer infrared sauna treatments, membership deals, special packages, and much more. Check them out online at silveressencefloatingspa.com or call 716-568-7985. Conveniently located in downtown Williamsville. They're just minutes from anywhere. That's the Silver Essence Floating Spa. Get your float on and tell them you heard about them on The Edge of the Unknown.
For those interested in delving deep into the paranormal, why not look into the Paratech Store? Located at paratechstore.com, browsers will find the latest in investigative equipment, books, and more. Items go beyond technical equipment. Mojo bags, stone sets, and other curiosities await your exploration at the Paratech Store, paratechstore.com. Visit them today.
Are you ready for something really scary? Stop over to the campfire at Uncle Josh's True Scary Stories on YouTube. Here's some of the most terrifying stories you've ever heard. Ghosts, monsters in the woods, stalkers, unexplained phenomenon, and more. And the best part? All of the stories are true. Got a story you'd like to share? Send it to Uncle Josh, True Scary Stories at gmail.com. Uncle Josh's True Scary Stories on YouTube, where fact is more terrifying than fiction.
Hello, this is Mike Bastine, and I'm on the edge of the unknown with Mark Henry.
And you are on the edge of the unknown with Mark Henry and Johnette Napolitano. Having a blast here. Hopefully you are, wherever you may be. Around the round world. She's on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast. I know that we've got folks listening in the UK. We're all over the place, and we're having a blast here tonight, guys. We'd love to hear from you. 716-218-3557, the edge of the unknown at gmail.com. Live chat as well if you want to get on board there. Feel free to do so at theedgeoftheunknown.com. And guys, we got a great show coming up next week. Hopefully you will all stick around. We're going to head up to the Great White North to Vancouver and talk to Lady Sabaladia. Yeah, it's awesome. She's an awesome guest. I've had her on, but it was years ago. We're going to be talking about Wicca and writing, and it's going to be a blast. Go to the homepage and upcoming guests to see who we've got on tap. Just booked 2 guests this week in the month of May, so that's going to be a blast. We're going to be talking dreams. We're going to be talking about paranormal investigation. We're going to be talking about near-death experiences. We've got a lot on tap in the next couple of weeks here on The Edge of the Unknown, but we've got Johnette Napolitano on right now. Thanks so much for doing this. I appreciate you hanging out with me.
Oh, my goodness. This is great. Thank you so much for having me. Thanks, everybody, for being here and listening and all that. This is a party. This is great.
Cool. Let's grab as
and
promised.
the people I can't see. A huge influence on me is the Disneyland Haunted Mansion. You know how the ghosts, I don't know if you've all been there, but they're all partying in the graveyard. That's kind of what's going on around me right now. So they all say hi, too.
This is the this is the second time this has come up today. I've never been to Disneyland. No. But this is I got my hair cut this morning, and the woman who cuts my hair asked me about it. I've never been to Disneyland.
What?
I know. I'm failing at life. Apparently, everybody's giving me shit, including my wife.
No, you're fine. It isn't what it isn't what it used to be. I haven't been in many years. I mean, I'm old, So I remember, back in the day. But the ghosts, I'm telling you, they party. They sit on the tombstones and they drink, and it's just an awesome thing. And you ride through it in a little car, and you're just like, oh, excellent. It's just they're there and they're partying and they're having a good time, and that's kind of what I'm feeling right now. Not only around me, but around you and your listeners and everybody else. So let's all do it. It's Sunday.
Cool. And you know what? Let's stay right on that and get back to Patrick, who asks a question. He says, "Hey, Johnette, L.A. guy stuck in Kentucky here. Any pointers about what to watch out with the troublesome southern spirits? I'm in tune with the spirits, and I've encountered some malevolence out there. I'm just on the Mason-Dixon line since you had issues in Tennessee, ... Take it away."
Interesting. Well, yes, Patrick Rodriguez, I feel you, man. Well, you have to keep your spirits around you because they are around you. Who's your grandmother? Abuelita, keep her around you. Your grandmother and your great-grandmother. On your mother's side, also, there's a sister on your father's side. Whether there's an aunt, I don't usually do this, and I don't know why I'm doing it because I don't like to do it. But if you keep them around you, nobody can touch you. Nobody. So just keep them around you because that's why they're there. Your ancestors are there. But I'm specifically feeling like some kind of aunt on your dad's side, and your mom is a grandma. And so there's these women who are around you. Who you need to think about, talk to. They're around you all the time. You don't need to be afraid of nothing, okay? They're around you. Just remember they're there, and just keep it strong around you. Keep close to yourself. Keep strong. Keep that shell around you. Don't listen. Don't play along with it. As somebody I admire very much said, when they go low, you go high, okay? And when you go high, That's where your grandma is, and that's where your aunt is, and those are the two people up high. You need to go high. Don't go low. Thank you, Michelle Obama. Thank you, Patrick Rodriguez. Very nice. My brother's name is Patrick, so thanks for bringing that spirit around. Sweet kid.
And he just responded by saying, reading me like a book.
Oh, no! Oh, gracias.
That's
you.
awesome.
Thank you so much.
And he actually, I missed this one too. He actually said, please let her know she rocked the Troubadour in her last show there. So there you go. Somebody was in the audience.
Talk about ghosts. Oh, my God. How can you, that stage, just seriously, you're standing on that stage and you're feeling the ghost of like every awesome person from Elton John to The Doors to Linda Ronstadt to, you can't. The Troubadour stage is just, if it's not a landmark, it should be. It should be. Thank you so much. Well, thank you. You humble me. Thank you.
And just teeing off on that, inspiration rather than distraction. That's got to be amazing to know that you're standing there where so many others have also done the same thing.
Well, that's another thing. You tap into it. I am below no one. I'm equal to anyone who has ever played, ever breathed, ever lived, and ever stood on two legs. And so are you. There is no human being that has ever picked up an instrument that can do something that I can't, if so moved by spirit. Now, Albert Einstein said something very interesting because he played the violin. Yes, and he saw, I say it's Paganini, and people always correct me, so feel free to do that, whatever. It's some damn Italian who plays genius violin, whatever. But he saw him, and he said he knew that if he practiced every day of his life, he would never play like that. So it must be something else, and that gets us into the God particle. And what is it that makes somebody such a genius and such a savant and playing an instrument that they don't even know what they're playing, to somebody on an Amadeus Soliari level who could practice all their lives and not touch that? What is that? What is that? And that is something that fascinates me. And what that is, baby, is spirit. It's God. And that is, when you tap into that, you tap into the source, as Edgar Cayce called it. And that is what Einstein was talking about. So that is what you tap into. I'm not intimidated by a stage anybody else played on, No, because I'm getting my work, my blood. I'm getting my heart beat. I'm getting everything, my music, my words, from the same source as they did. So that's the thing. When, nothing bores me more than hearing a musician like, oh, listen to this record. Hey, it's so-and-so, it's so-and-so. Listen, fuck the record, fuck so-and-so. They were a human being just like me. Where did they get it? The source. So I'm, talking about, what did Mozart hear? What did Tesla hear? You know what I mean? Joe Meek is oh my God, that's an amazing human being. What a tortured soul, but what a genius. And so, this is the source. This is the source. It comes from somewhere else. It's all about Tesla. It's all about spirit. And that bounces off all the planets, honey. It comes back to us. You just got to listen.
Johnette Napolitano, my guest here on The Edge of the Unknown. Let's grab an email, theedgeoftheunknown@gmail.com, if you want to send us a question there. You can also give us a call, 716-218-3557. That is the line for you to get on board. This one comes from Aussie Girl 25. I'm sending this early because I can't call or write when you're on, but I'll be listening. Hi, Johnette. I'm a huge fan of yours. You're on my list of very cool people. Laughing out loud. I am curious to know what you think about.
Me too.
Yeah, I am curious to know what you think about decks of cards. Are there specific ones I should use, or does any old deck do their thing? A friend of mine has a very old set that has been passed down through her family, but I haven't seen any big difference between hers and the ones I got in a local shop. Love your music so much. I'll be cranking it here in Queensland for the rest of my days. Aussie Girl 25. Long question, but thanks for being on.
Well, thank you. And right away, the big difference is it's been passed down. That's all you need. That deck has been passed down. It's been passed down with a lot of love. And that is worth its weight in gold. Screw anything you could buy in the shop. If you're fortunate enough to have received a deck that has been passed down, you must respect that, honor that, and appreciate that that deck was given to you for a specific reason. It could have wound up with anybody, so already that's a special thing. Now, as far as decks go, if you're a beginning reader, you've got to go with the Rider-Waite or Pamela Coleman Smith. The Rider-Waite's basically a beginner's deck. It's very clear. The imagery is very clear. And then I can understand. I have a few decks, and it's very interesting. The imagery reflects the period in history during which they were created. Okay, so I have a Russian deck that I really like a lot, but the Russian interpretation of the cards are very, very different than the Western Rider-Waite medieval or beyond interpretations of the cards. Because they just look at the world in a different way, and so that I find that interesting as a historical study, as a cultural study, beyond the spiritual meaning of the cards, just the way that it reflects and tells. Once again, they're a language. You can read all the history books you want, but including the Bible, but they've been rewritten by everybody. But the tarot hasn't really, and where it has is very interesting. So the study of different decks is a very interesting study of the rewriting of history during the history of human civilization. It's unbelievable.
Do people collect tarot cards? I mentioned this.
Oh,
because,
my God, yes.
Yeah,
oh, my goodness,
two people
yes.
who are friends of the show, Bob Murch and Karen Dahlman. Karen was on maybe a couple of months ago. They're both part of the Talking Board Society. They're very into the Ouija boards, and Bob has the biggest collection. I don't want to assume. Does the same sort of thing happen with people who are, using the tarot cards?
Well, now, an interesting thing is that the Ouija board, the copyright for the Ouija board is owned by the U.S. Games Company, okay? So it's made by the same people that make Monopoly. Those are the people that own the Ouija board. They're illegal in England, by the way.
Really?
Still, okay? Yes, they are. And tarot as well. U.S. game systems, okay? So it's very interesting that both of these would be co-opted by a game, finger quotes in the air, like don't take it too seriously kind of a vibe, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so the Ouija board is an interesting thing historically, not for amateurs, and depending, you know what I mean, you either have your head and your spirit in a good place or you don't, so whatever, But yes, absolutely. A lot of readers have many, many, many decks, and I used to wonder. I'm like, why does anybody need more than one deck? Now I get it, because 3 different decks, the same card can mean 3 different things in 3 different contexts, depending on where, when, and by whom they were created.
Can you make your own deck and maybe
turn
that one
Salvador
into hand that
Dali's
down?
One of my favorite decks.
I'm sorry, say that again?
I have a Dali deck that Salvador Dali, of course, who's one of the greatest artists that ever lived. Once again, great example of a fucking surrealistic, crazy ass, what the hell are you doing, human alien on the planet? Salvador Dali, that's a deck that I've had for a very long time. Somebody gave it to me as a gift many, many years ago, and I couldn't read it at all. I just was like looking at it like, what the hell is this? I am only able to read that deck now after having spent 2 years in some pretty intensive study with the classics. It's like anything else. It's like any art form, any language, okay? If you can't riff off of it, you can't break a rule unless you know the rule, unless you know the foundation of whatever study. You can't expound on it, create, break away, and that's just goes for anything, But yeah, Salvador Dali's created a deck. Vivienne Westwood, who's an amazing fashion designer, she just has posted. She's a Dane, Vivienne Westwood. She created the Sex Pistols. She created, her and Malcolm McLaren. What we think of as punk rock wasn't punk rock, really. It was just a fashion experiment in England by Vivienne Westwood and Malcolm McLaren. But Vivienne's amazing. She's an amazing fashion designer, and she's just creating her own deck now on YouTube, and it's pretty incredible. So it's very Yes, yeah. Depending on how you perceive, or oh my gosh, there's a deck for every. There's even a gummy bear deck that just came out. I'm like, my God. But yeah, it's whatever language speaks to you. You know what I mean? Let's think of different tarot decks as a dialect of the same language.
Okay.
That's probably, I think. Thank you, Spirit. I don't think of that shit myself.
So I see you on Twitter, and I see you posting things each day. To the layman, just me, if I look at that, what am I supposed to glean from that? How am I supposed to read what you're posting as far as the cards that you're pulling?
I don't know.
Okay.
That's part. I get, rather than answer a lot of fan stuff, it's helped me tremendously, and it's a part of my daily life. That's what I do every morning, is do cards. And I thought that what helped me may simply help other people. That's all. It's as simple as that. I don't know what people want from it or expect from it or get from it or whatever. Once you let something out, so much of this world is basically perception. 5 people could look at the same painting and give a different description. 3 people could witness a murder and see it differently. 3 people can hear a song and hear something else in it. So whatever anybody gets out of it is remarkable to me, because I will get, just like Mr. Patrick said, he got something out of whatever it was that came through. I hope somebody else does, and I know people do. And I know I do, because it starts my mind off in the morning before listening to shitty news and how the world is going to hell. I'm well aware of the world, but what's more important is putting my mask on first in the morning, making sure I'm healthy, making sure I'm centered, and making sure I can do the best job on the planet to contribute or do whatever I can that day. And that requires starting that day in a good space, in a meditational space. That's what helps me. And the cards focus that. That's exactly what they do. There's nothing necessarily, many people are involved in the study of the tarot. It goes to the Kabbalah, it goes way, way back, Hebrew. It encompasses just about everything. And I'm looking for that connection in a time where all we seem to be focusing on are differences, and they don't even exist. It's just what's being thrown at us every day. I really needed to reach higher and devote myself to a study that would allow me to come from a higher place. And the tarot seems to do that. The levels are just incredible, whether it's, and it crosses every possible, spirituality, on the planet in human history. And I really think that we need that desperately at this point. We need to find the points of connection, not the points of difference. Those are exaggerated, and they didn't exist in the first place.
How often are people that you've done readings for inspired to kind of pick it up on their own and run with it, kind of their own awakening?
Oh my goodness. I think the greatest joy of the last couple of years is hearing back from clients and saying, number one, getting them to come back in the first place, because, you did a good job in the first place. Mm-hmm. But that's been my greatest joy, no lie, is to hear from clients that they were aware of astrological weather. Okay. A reading is basically just telling you the weather that's coming up. If I'm saying Wednesday, because the Cards of Destiny system that I use for a year layout is every 52 days, the weather changes. Mercury, Venus, Mars, Saturn, Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune. So your year is divided up into periods of 52 days, and that never changes. That is your birthday, is your new year. The first 52 days are your Mercury period. The last 50, as I told you, I didn't read for you, by the way, because I didn't want to front load, but I will. I didn't do a year for you because I didn't want to front load it. But as I told you, the last 52 days before your birthday is your Neptune period, as in today is ruled by Neptune, which is really wonderful because it's very watery. Neptune is the ocean, very watery, very emotional, very dreamy, very beautiful, but also not the time to sign contracts, not the time to, you need to read the fine print 3 or 4 times, so something that's good and dreamy for your art is not good for hard black and white paperwork, you know what I mean? So when I I'm able to establish that with a client, and they're able to see the rhythm of their year. And you realize that every year, like March is never my year. Nothing good for me happens in March, ever, 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 ever. It's just always March. For some reason, don't know why, but it's the period now that I recognize is not necessarily good for me to do certain things. It's good for me to hunker down and do other things. So it's just a weather report. It's just saying, like, okay, for you, it's going to rain every March in your life. So, and, rather than go out and do something that, you might want to change your plan, you can still do it. It's free will, but you might want to change your plan, if it's not going to be the journey or the experience that you anticipate, that you hope for. You might want to move it to later, to another period in your year when it's apt to flow a little easier, or the weather's going to be a little better. It's that simple. It's just simply knowing when your rhythms are, when your strengths, and already. It's just really handy to have that in some kind of format, just like a calendar you look at for your schedule next week. It's that easy, really. But we're not taught that, and so we end up fighting our own natural rhythms our whole lives, and we wonder why we're fucked up. It's crazy.
Johnette Napolitano, my guest here on The Edge of the Unknown, theedgeoftheunknown at gmail.com. What is the typical response to someone who you read from when they get something and look at you and go, what do they actually say? What is the typical response, if there is a typical response?
Wow.
I can tell you mine. I know we weren't going to get into all that stuff, but it was very interesting because you asked me that question. It was a couple of weeks later, and then out of nowhere, bam, I get this email, and I'm like, well, that's kind of interesting. Maybe we should talk about that.
Why? Why?
Because it's interesting, and I will say this, because the things that Johnette just said, again, Johnette Napolitano, my guest here, about this period of time and contracts and all that sort of thing, and the way you just worded it, worried about your art or your craft, and kind of putting that with contracts, there is a situation that kind of involves both of those two things, and it's interesting that you bring it up now because it has been sputtering, and I haven't wanted to push it too much, and then hearing that, I'm like, maybe that's something that we can wait for. Maybe that's something we'll let simmer
I think
and
it's
hit that down the line.
If you have even the slightest hesitation, you must wait. The slightest hesitation. The only thing you regret, and this is coming from an old lady now, the only thing you will regret are things that you said, I knew I shouldn't have done that. Trust me, that you don't want that on your tombstone, man. It's like the only things you will regret is going against your instinct. You knew you had hesitation. Why didn't you listen? And that's what everybody says. See, now the thing about being psychic with finger quotes in the air, which is such an abused word and so stupid, but valid, obviously. But like, well, how come you didn't know that, your tire was going to go flat? It doesn't work that way. That is what we're supposed to learn. The energy only works for other people and only to help other people. That is what we're here for, and that is what we have the gift to do, So, I'm sorry, man. You got to listen to that. You've got to listen to that voice. Otherwise, what's the point? The voice is there for a reason. That's there. If you have the slightest hesitation about anything, just, hey, kick back. Does anybody have a stopwatch on your ass? I don't think so. Unless they do, kick back. Kick back. Once again, ask your guides. This is especially the truth, especially if people, here's something that is a very, very important thing. When you wake up at between 2 and 4 in the morning or something like that, that's when they don't want you to wake up, as in terms of the people that sell you sleeping pills, because that's when you're getting the most important messages. You tend to wake up and somebody's trying to tell you something. Okay. So obviously most people can't chase that down and have to actually wake up in the default world, as us Burning Man veterans say, and burners, hey burners. And so you have to wake up and you have to pay attention. Okay. But you ask then, you say, I need to go back to sleep. Will you please show me what you're trying to show me in a dream and help me go back to sleep? And you will go back to sleep. Breathe, concentrate, bring them in, ask, say, please show me what you're trying to show me, because I have to get up, but I know you're trying to show me something. I know that you're there. Please show me in the dream and let me go back to sleep. And I promise you that will help a lot if you have problems waking up at that hour.
How do we approach those who, when they might think that, well, I need to hesitate, I need to take a step back, but that becomes such a thing that they do all the time that they don't move forward at all?
Oh, well, that's analysis paralysis. That's the devil. That's fear. That's what the devil is. When you get the devil in tarot, that's one of the most misunderstood images in the tarot. As a matter of fact, every image is misunderstood because they only mean something. I do a daily draw of one card, and there's a reason for that, because I'm studying the card. It's my own study. It's my own meditation. Once again, if anybody else wants to dig it, fine. If you don't, that's what I do anyway. I might as well share it in case anybody else can benefit from it. But the images in the tarot don't really mean that much on their own. It's good to know the card. You got to know the card, the history of the card, the evolution of the card. But it only really tells the story in combination with another one. So the devil the evolution of the devil comes from Greek mythology. It comes from Pan, the little centaur who runs around, and he's a happy little guy. But then again, the church didn't want anybody to be happy, so he became the devil. And the devil, to me, is fear. Because that is the one thing that prevents evolution, is fear. Fear does not exist. Fear is the devil in your own mind. There's a reason for that crazy little cartoon archetype that you see the angel on one shoulder, the devil on another. Which voice are you going to listen to? And you have a choice. Which one are you going to listen to? Why would you listen to the devil telling you that you can't do this when you could easily be listening to your higher spirits and your higher self and the people who aren't here anymore in physical form who really want to work through you? Why wouldn't you listen to them, you know? And so that fear, which is, oh, gosh, you can't even turn on the news, Facebook, or anything else. It's just fear is what it's all about, because that's what sells you shit. Everything you buy is because you're afraid of something. So it's basically all to sell you a point of view, a product, and it's all about fear. And that is just the devil. That's the devil to me, is fear. That's all. That's all. And addictions is the devil also means. It's a slavery. It's a slavery. So you're enslaved by fear, you know. And if that is that's not a motivation. That's a negative motivation. So you're basically taking away, when you act out of fear and you don't put yourself forward, you're taking away positivity from the universe. You know, you're shrinking it. And that, to me, is the devil. So that imagery is very, very deep, you know, very deep and interactive, you know.
Wow. Yikes.
I'm sorry.
No, that's quite all right. No, that's actually, I just looked down and the same thing happened. Somebody called and then dumped off. So what the hell is this, guys? You gotta, if you're gonna call, get on the fucking show, okay? Pardon my French. I'm swearing tonight. You're a terrible influence on me. Jeez.
Dude, I don't know. I told you, man.
716-218.
I told you had to have your phone game down.
716-218-3557 is the phone number. Johnette Napolitano is my guest tonight. We're talking tarot and all kinds of stuff. We would love to hear from you. If you've got a question, give us a call. And yeah, don't worry, we're going to get to you.
Come on.
Keep hanging up. That was area code 865 too. So if you're in the 865,
I don't even know where that is.
I have no idea. We can take a look in the break.
It sounds like I don't even want to guess. It just sounds like somewhere else. That's all. I don't know.
It's certainly not here. That's all I know.
And who knows these days? You know what I mean? It's probably a robocall.
Oh God, I hope not. That's all I need to do. Yeah, I've been getting. What's the latest scam I've been getting? Insurance. That's
oh my God, the IRS. I got the. First of all, the IRS will never call you. So
of course.
Bullshit. But they said I had four violations against me, and that the local law enforcement was coming to arrest me in 24 hours. I was like, what the hell? And it was crazy. Yeah, that was the latest one. You knew it was bullshit, but I totally turned them in. I was just like, fuck you. I called back. I'm like, what is your... Anyway, go ahead. Yeah,
okay.
Go ahead.
No, that's I have no idea. Whatever.
No, I called back and I talked to him because, you know, I'm an old lady. I'm just like that. And I was like, what is your name, sir? And they're like, well, we need your information. I'm like, well, you just call me. You must have my information because you're going to come and arrest me in 24 hours.
Right.
You know?
Sure.
It was hilarious. And so, so he's turned in. There you go. See you later. FBI on speed dial.
Right. They're coming for me. Out of all the things that they need to look into, yeah, it's me. Sure. Right.
I know. Oh, please.
Alrighty. Hey, we do have to take a fast break here. We will be back with more with Johnette Napolitano. We would love to hear from you. 716-218-3557, theedgeoftheunknown@gmail.com. This will be 4 or 5 minutes. Everybody, put your feet up. Go get a cup of tea, cup of coffee, whatever you might be drinking
good
or hanging
idea.
out with. I think I might have to get a refill myself. But we've got more.
I think so. Let's do that.
I know. I've already pounded 2 cups, and I think I need another one. We've got much more coming up here.
I need a song.
Taking you up until 10 o'clock. Jeanette Napolitano, my guest, having a blast here on The Edge. I hope you are too, no matter where you're listening. We will be back right after this. Everybody, stick around. Much more to come. Hold tight.
Looking for the best Japanese and Thai cuisine in Western New York? Then you have to visit Teton Kitchen at 415 Dick Road in Depew. From appetizers and soups, simple, special, big, and fusion-style maki, to sushi, sashimi, and tempura, you won't get a range of items like this anywhere. Hungry for more? Teton Kitchen offers a full dinner menu and kushiyaki dishes, as well as a huge variety of sake, wine, beer, both domestic and Asian imports. Owner Taka and his bride Kin are proud to boast that Teton Kitchen is Yelp's #1 rated restaurant in Western New York, and they welcome you for lunch or dinner 7 days a week with takeout and online ordering available. Visit TetonKitchen.com for their full menu, hours, and online ordering, or call 716-393-3720. Teton Kitchen, 415 Dick Road in Depew.
Itadakimasu. No word in the English language is less convincing than probably.
Are you sure we should get matching tattoos on our first date?
Sure. We'll probably stay together.
Probably? It's been 23 minutes since I ate. I can probably swim.
You should wait 30 minutes.
Okay, now tell me what to do. Cannonball! Cramp! Oh, I have a cramp.
I can probably hit the green from here.
Probably.
Can I get a mulligan?
Ready to go?
Hey, are you sure you're okay to drive?
Yeah, I'm pretty sober. Yeah, I'm probably okay. Probably okay isn't okay, especially when it comes to drinking and driving. If you're drinking, call a cab, a car, or a friend. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. A message brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Hello. What are your fears? Are you badgered by domestic affairs, haunted by ghosts or demons, terrorized by those who would use magic as a weapon, or tormented from within? I can end it. I can stop it. I can cast them away, for I am a sorcerer, and protecting people from these things is what I do. Seek my services at sorcererforhire.com or call now for faster service 206-501-0444, because time is not on your side.
The Hope Project of Western New York is a resource for struggling families often identified as the working poor. We assist individuals who have lost their jobs through no fault of their own, disabled individuals, households with special needs members, victims of domestic violence in transition, and our military families and veterans. The Hope Project provides our members with gently used clothing, household supplies and toys, as well as hygiene and cleaning supplies. We also make available specialty items like prom dresses and Halloween costumes. These items are provided at zero cost to our members. How can you help? By donating items at our storefront, 4545 Transit Road in Williamsville, New York, inside the Eastern Hills Mall. Store hours, Monday 10 to 2, Tuesday 11 to 2. Wednesday 10 to 8, Thursday 10 to 2, and Saturday 10 to 2. Closed on all school holidays. Clothing should be contemporary, free of stains and tears, and household items must be in good condition and in working order. We also accept grocery and department store gift cards, as well as monetary donations. You can also help out by becoming a volunteer. For more information, visit our website at thehopeprojectofwny.org or call us at 716-810-9156. The Hope Project of Western New York. Dignified help for those in need.
Well, no, but we'll have to make it a regular thing. That's what I was hoping.
There we go. All right.
I'll be your Linda Moulton Howe.
This is Robert Wagner, and you're listening to Mark Henry at the Edge of the Unknown.
And we are back here on the Edge of the Unknown. My name is Mark Henry. Thank you, Mr. Ben Wagner. He was a lot of fun. We talked about lucid dreaming, and it's been a long time since we've explored lucid dreaming, but Ben was awesome. Great, great guest, and we've got a great guest this evening here tonight with Johnette Napolitano, guys. It's a blast. We've got one more segment to go, but we might go a little over, but I'm not going to keep her on the phone too much. But everybody, I appreciate the calls.
Oh, well, let's see what everybody wants.
Exactly. You might get roped in. There's one guest that I have. He's a friend of mine. He is an Algonquin healer and elder. And terrific guy. Just Michael is one of the greatest people I know. And we're always, we're going to do the 2 hours, and then it's 11, and we probably ought to wrap up. And, and then we stay on the phone off the show for an extra hour and a half. He's just a wonderful, wonderful guy, and I've got to have him back on too. So, but I appreciate what's going on. Honestly, I don't want to get into too much about what's happening, but where are the best places people can follow you?
Well, let's see. I've started the thing on WordPress, Twitter. I've reduced the Facebook thing to one page, which is an official fan page. But I really don't. I'm an antisocial person, so social media is a big problem for me. But honestly, probably Twitter. And I do post on Instagram as The Real Johnette, and that's photos of stuff and arty stuff and just strange stuff or whatever. But that's pretty much the thing. And www.JohnetteNapolitano.net is where you can go to the website. You can order books. I'm Rough Mix 2. Rough Mix 1 is my first book, and through a really great press, Crossroad Press, is who is David Niall Wilson. Oh, God, David is so patient, so wonderful. And he is the one who converted my last book into digital for Amazon. And so he's right now very patiently waiting for my last couple pages and for me to ship him the final stuff to get Rough Mix 2 up on Amazon, which should be very soon as I get my thing in gear. But I wanted to give him a couple of bonus pages because I wanted to give the Kindle and Amazon, the electronic readers, a couple of bonus pages. So Crossroad Press, it's a cutting-edge sci-fi press. I really, really like the way David does it. It's really a modern... I love books. People love books, and I also love technology, and I love Bitcoin, and I love digital, and I love everything cyber, and David seems to have the appreciation, the right balance of those things to make Crossroad Press, and Ingo Swann, bitch. He has Ingo Swann stuff. So, I mean, if you're really, let's separate the men from the boys as far as, hardcore, esoteric, remote viewing goes, so I'm more excited about being on Crossroad Press than I have been about being on a record label in years.
Really?
That's how excited I am. So oh my God, are you kidding? So I'm excited now and inspired, and it's healthy for me to actually write. And I actually have always wanted to be a writer way before anything else since I was a kid, so I love that exercise. It's very healthy. that's just what I do, you know. So I'm really grateful to Crossroad Press, and they'll be converting Rough Mix 2, which will be out, and Rough Mix 3 before the end of the year will be out. So the series is really good because it just keeps me. It's just a beautiful thing. It just keeps me going, and I have a million stories I could tell forever. So I just enjoy doing it. I enjoy actually making the books, actually seeing them, and just coming from a different place. And Crossroads seems to have that wackiness covered. You know, it's very cool. So thank you, David Neil Wilson, and thanks for asking.
Is there, I mean, when we're talking about this, we're writing, and I have to write for a living in what I do in my day job, and a lot of writing that I do for a YouTube channel, and research that I do here. The big difference between writing a song, a poem, and something a little bit more long form, I guess when you talk about you like the idea of being able to write longer, what is the big difference between writing for all three formats to you and the return that you get on all three?
What a great fucking question, first of all.
Thank you.
I
try.
Everything is about waves. Really, that was dope. Okay? So, everything comes in waves. Now, I would have been diagnosed with a short attention span back in the day. I admit that I do. The only format, one of my favorite writers is Dorothy Parker. I actually picked up a vintage book at a thrift store of hers the other day, and her shit's all short form, okay? Songwriting, everything comes in waves. So it comes in waves, and at least for me, okay, well, everything is in waves anyway. It's a physics thing, but let's not go into the weeds with that. But the wave comes, and then it passes, okay? And I'll get, the wave will come, and I'll start, and I'll write, and it'll finish. It's amazing, especially with these tarot posts. It's like it starts, it forms like a wave, and then I get the word, and then it comes, and then it ends in a natural place. And I find lyrics, I'm only good for short form, okay? I was actually working this morning about 4 o'clock in the morning on something that is a pet project of mine. It's a script and a screenplay about my mentor who was tried as a witch in Arkansas in 1962. Wow. It's a true story. And I've been working on the script. She told me not to work on it until she passed away. She passed away, I think, almost 3 years ago now. And so I've been working on it. One of the reasons that I'm grateful to be home from touring so much is that I can actually focus and get some of this shit done. But it only comes to me in waves. I'm only good for writing, you know, a couple hours at a time, 2 hours, I would say. That's it. That's it. I know that's it. And I learned, because I'm a big, I sew like a freak. I'm a big yo to everybody with a sewing machine. I had 15 at one time. I'm down to 5. I know it's hoarding, but I love it. So word to everybody who appreciates sewing machines. But I learn, I study. I'm really a study person because I've always been self-conscious about not going to college. So ever since I've been touring, I go to study in Paris. I studied in Mexico. I studied in Spain. I've studied everywhere, and I constantly study. And one of the things that I learned about learning, and this goes into animals as well, and animal training. My horse, dog, they're only good for 10 minutes at a time. That's all you retain. And as a human mind, that's all I retain. That's it. I'm only good for a couple hours at a time. Then I need to take a break and walk away and then come back and be fresh. And that is when that's what it's all about. So I'm not capable. I totally admire anybody that can sit and write a book. Are you kidding? From beginning to end and know what's going to happen and actually resolve it and actually have a plot twist. Oh my God, I can't even conceive of such a thing. I can't at all. I can't at all. There's no way. I'd be dead and rotting before I'd finish anything like that. But once again, that's what I do. I tune in and the wave comes and it's easy. It's not even me writing. Not even me. It just comes and then it goes and then we're done. Thank you very much. And that's it. I'm accepting. I'm not doing anything. That's it. And that's the way it comes to me. Now in other times or in another place, you know, I don't know how other people work. I only know how this works for me. And I'm good for that long. And that is just the way it is, you know. So it's not bad, good, or indifferent or a behavior flaw or anything like that. That's just the wave. You know, and that differs wherever you are. Something that fascinates me is also geomancy, I think it is, or whatever. I always get the word screwed up with something, but it's the science of like Paris, which is, by the way, the proper name for Paris is Paris Isis, after the goddess, and Paris is a Virgo city. L.A., east side is Virgo, west side is Leo. That fascinates me because that means, and obviously, you know, some people are better tuned to some places on the planet than in other places. So it's just, once again, and that gets back to the tarot's chart. I gotta suggest also to everyone, Cafe Astrology, www.cafeastrology.com, does the best charts. You can go on and log in. There's a lot of sites that do it, but they're really a good site. And you can log in your birth time, and read your own chart, print it out, and blow your own mind. Blow your own mind about yourself. Learn about yourself. Learning your own chart, I'm telling you, it's unbelievable. And then you'll forgive yourself for like, wow, why do I only have a 2-hour attention span? Because that's what you were born to have, and everything else is pretty boring anyway. So don't, just focus on what inspires you at a cellular level. Know yourself, and then bloom, then feed it and bloom. I was doing a reading recently for a client, and in my ear, because I'm clairaudient, that's where the music comes from. Okay. And that same voice just sticks in my ear, just like, don't water the garden you don't want to grow. And I'm like, well, that's profound as hell. And my client singled that line out of the reading. I record them, just like they did in New Orleans at Bottom of the Cup, and they get back to me. It's like that one line: don't water the garden you don't want to grow. So don't water the. How simple is that? But how profound is that? And that was given to me by Spirit, and that was like pretty much as much as I worked on the whole reading, that was what stuck, and that's what came to me, and that's what knowing yourself is all about. I'm not forcing myself. I'm around. I'm not going to be a square peg forcing myself in a round hole. You know what I mean? Just not. There's just all I'm going to do is feel bad about myself. Why? I know myself better. I know what I'm meant for. I know what I'm not meant for. I know what circumstances I thrive in. I know which circumstances are unhealthy for me. That's a very valuable thing to know, and I wish I would have known it 40 years ago. I would have saved myself and a lot of other people a lot of trouble and a lot of pain, because I didn't know, and I didn't recognize that, and it wasn't okay with me, and I was just trying to fit into a lot of places that really I was not meant to. It's like sticking a lily in the desert, well, that gets into Joshua trees, which are a lily family. Anyway, please ask something.
I do have to ask this because this is kind of fascinating when we're talking about people always complaining about, oh, I hate my job. I'm stuck in a cubicle. This isn't really what I'm supposed to be doing.
No, you're not.
And
no, you're not.
There's so many ways out or other things to do. It's just
no.
I don't know.
This is the Eight of Swords. This is the Eight of Swords card. This is coming to my mind. Mm-hmm. The tarot image of the Eight of Swords, which is a woman who's blindfolded. She doesn't want to see her options. She's standing there with her bound, with the swords around her, like she's in jail. She's not in jail. Let me tell you who's in jail. The people in jail. I've been getting bombarded, and I say that in a really wonderful, humbling way, from the inmate bloggers. The WordPress. They started somebody liked me on WordPress, and I'm getting all these inmate bloggers. And every morning, I make a point to read a couple of them. I don't interact because I'm not naive. My brother served time. You're not in prison for no reason. Mm-hmm. But so I can't interact because I just can't. It's just judges can't. But I appreciate the writing. I like the writing. I'm blown away by the writing, and I feel very close to inmate because of my brother, and just I do. But I just have to have an arm's length at it. That's just the practical way to go. But I can't even talk now. I'm so choked up. I'm sorry. What was the question?
Well, no, the question was about people who are complaining, like, "Oh, I'm stuck. I want to get out of this job, but I can't."
Well, they're really in jail. You're not. So fuck off.
There you go.
I think that's where I was going. With that.
Short and sweet. Perfect.
You're not in jail. If you're not in jail, if you can get up and walk out your front door, kiss my ass. You're wasting my time.
You've got
other people can't.
Right. You've got other options.
And that's just the reality of it. Okay. If you have the power to change your circumstances at any time. No one has you in jail except yourself. You are free to walk out that door, and you have all the options in the world. You are not behind bars. If you're not literally behind bars, I don't want to hear it. I really don't. You're not stuck. You're not stuck. You're a whiner.
716-218-3557 is the phone number to get on board with Johnette Napolitano. We're talking about all kinds of things, including tarot, which we've never done before. I'm going to have to do a little bit more research and learn more of this. Yeah, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, everything under the sun, you name it, we've talked about over the last 8 years.
Wow.
But never tarot. I don't know why that is, but this worked out perfectly.
Oh, yeah. Hell, yeah. I didn't dive hard into it. I've been doing it for many, many years.
Right.
But I didn't really start studying hard until I was basically homebound the last year and a half because I had to be health-wise. Mm-hmm. And so I really, it was hard for me because I'm a restless person by birth. It's just the cusp. It's the way it is. And so having to be still was a challenge for me. A huge challenge. And so turning inward, everything is in there. That's the thing. It's not out there. It's in here. And that was something that is so profound and beautiful to me. And I had to really be still and learn it. I've been running since I was a kid for various reasons, to support various people, dependence. My God, I'm like a tortoise with people on my back all my life. And it's been really a difficult thing to take care of myself, and I had to. And so turning inward and then going, well, okay, I have surface knowledge here, but I'm starting to see how things connected. And especially since, okay, here we go. Okay, last segment. I'm sitting in a spot. This is the first time I've utilized this room, which was designated to be a voiceover room ever. Okay. But this room, I couldn't get comfortable in. It was weird. When my dad passed away, I had a microwave in this room, and I'd be over on the other side of the cabin here, typing. And at midnight, a couple days after my dad passed, I'd hear it beeping. Beep, 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 beep. And I'm like, what the hell, whatever. And I didn't think about it because it's like, whatever, something's beeping. I don't know. And then I got up and came in to exactly the spot I'm sitting now. And here's the microwave. And it's on its own. It's spelling out 1111 on the digital readout. And it did it first, beep, 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 and then beep, 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 beep. Like somebody was actually learning to use the buttons there. Now, before my dad had passed away, he said, how do you know there's life after death? And I said, because you'll tell me when you get there. And I sat looking at this microwave, and I'm like, what the hell? This has been doing this for 2 nights in a row now at midnight. And I just said 1111. I said, well, somebody wants me to check that out. And I went and Googled 1111. And, well, if anybody's familiar with it or Googled it, that was enough for me. And I just busted down crying and at the same time laughing because I knew that my dad had made his point and he discovered it. And it was just absolutely a life-changing experience. And so that's kind of where I'm sitting right now, is in that, because I haven't been able to figure out how to use the spot. And then my brother, a year ago, this month actually, was killed, but I knew that he was cool after that, and because he took over the light and started strobing it, like, what Dad did, I can do better, and just started strobing the light. It was crazy, but it's very real, and he's very free but very present. And sometimes on the other side, we're freer. We're so imprisoned, like, by what we have to do, the people we have to please. It's almost like, you can't walk up to somebody and say I love you and hug them because maybe your second wife is present, or it's just not cool to do, or whatever. You're free to do all that after this. And the interaction is just an unbelievably inspiring, beautiful thing. And so to do this today with you, with something, and to be asked to do it, to talk about some things that are so profoundly important to me and comforting, and I feel that could help a lot of other people to focus and not be so banged around emotionally, you know, to know yourself and know why you're the way you are, and know that that is why the Creator created you that way. It's very, very empowering and comforting, and you get to be comfortable in your own skin, you know, and I really have to encourage this because it's been kept from us, you know, like you brought up Nancy Reagan. The upper classes have their consultants, you know. The middle and the lower classes have to go to middlemen to talk to God. That's not right. That's wrong. That's controlling. And it's the spiritual power is there for all of us. And this is so present in my life that, you know, I've seen the laws of physics broken. Okay. When you see the laws of physics broken, even Stephen Hawking said he couldn't, what is it that he say? I do not define reality, I think it was, because I don't know what that is. Mm-hmm. He admitted that he didn't know what reality is. That's Stephen Hawking, you know, not me. So when I see the laws of physics broken, when I see things move that shouldn't move, that against the laws of gravity, I know there's a higher power. I don't need anybody to tell me anything, you know. Absolutely. So, and the UFO story we didn't get to.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I was not going to let you off the hook.
They told me they came. This is going to be poor David Niall Wilson. Hi, David. I hope you're listening, dude. You're so good. This is going to be the bonus chapter in the ebook that if I get off my ass and do it, I will tonight. Anyway, they came to. I was living in LA. Now, Dodger Stadium was where I lived close to at the time, which is in Chavez Ravine, which Los Lobos wrote a lot about, which has had a lot of UFO sightings. Okay, so I lived very close to there near Echo Park in Silver Lake. And one night they came. Well, I was awake in the middle of the night, and I was standing there amongst a group of women who were in the age group between like 40 and 60, I would say, young, but starting to get gray hair, but still young, young. And they were talking to us, landing this craft, and explaining to us that it had become necessary for them to intervene because the human race had not evolved at the rate that they were expected to. You going to argue with that? Neither am I. So they gave us all these little bracelets, and I was really anxious to go up. I was very, very conscious, and all these women were very excited because they were at the age where women are written off, like their kids were grown, but they still have life in them. You know what I mean? We're very young, us 60-year-olds now. And so that was the impression I got, was that they were happy to be of use and that we were all being screened for a breeding program. Okay. So my wrists are very big, which is why I have tattoos on them, because bracelets don't fit. And so I grabbed the little tambourines by my hands because they didn't fit. And I went up into the craft and wanted to memorize everything I saw. And I looked very carefully and closely at the lights and there was a console, and there was about 4 or 5, I don't want to call them aliens because I just don't like that word. I just think that there were beings, and they were in different stages of their own evolution. Like the old guy behind the console was your classic big black-eyed gray, and then there were 2 other ones that were looked like hybrids, that had a little bit less of that severe alien finger quote air feature. And then there was a young one that came up, and I was so excited. I was really excited, and the guy didn't like me right away. The old dude did not like me right away. And I looked around, and I was trying to take everything in, and on a techno geek level. And then the young one comes up from behind somewhere in the back, and he's pulling on a metallic suit, and he's really youthful in energy. And we were so happy to find each other that it really profound emotionally, it really affected me, and still does. And it was like 2 souls finding each other, and it was like, hey, it was like, yo, that kind of thing. And the old guy behind the console was very angry, and the young one said to me, "My name is Kumbian," and I said, "Hey, I'm Johnette." And the old guy got pissed off, like that was some kind of thing that wasn't supposed to happen. And he right away said, "You have too many characteristics. It's undesirable to us," and bam, just smacked me back. and I woke up in bed, and I felt like I had been smacked. I really did. And I spent the next year researching Koombian, okay? Koombian. I mean, I just was obsessed with this because I felt like I had met my soulmate and lost him. It was hardcore, you know? And besides, I researched that's a fact. They explained that fungi and cacti were not indigenous to this planet. They were, in fact, brought by somewhere else. And if you, obviously, you can't survive in Martian conditions, but cacti can. You can't survive in fungi conditions, but fungi can. No air, a vacuum, 140 degrees of heat. You know what I mean? These are alien beings, and I hate that word. They're just beings. So I researched, and about a year later, somebody I was working with, I was producing when I lived back in Silver Lake, had brought a cassette. That's how long ago it was. It's this thing where there's tape on it, kids. And he brought a cassette, and it was music called cumbia from South America. Okay. And I researched cumbia. Now, cumbia means in a Peruvian rural dialect, it means person from high up.
Yep.
Okay.
Sorry. Something just happened there. Can
That's
you hear
okay.
me? Okay.
That's okay.
Huh.
The person from high up.
Wow. So I don't even know what to say about that.
I know. I drank like a fish that night. I was just like, wow, that connection was crazy. And cumbia, it's a music. And I also knew, I've been to Peru, and I also knew a Peruvian whose mom went to church in her little village every day and pointed out the place where the little man in the saucer sat and watched him walk to church and back, this little Peruvian lady. So, it's just a beautiful thing, really, to be aware,
Yeah.
You're not alone, bitches.
That's, and because most of the stuff that I talk about when I talk to guys from MUFON or whatever, it's never a story that is that involved. It's always just like hey, I saw something or something strange happened over there.
Whatever.
It's certainly not as detailed as that.
Yeah, I don't know about those MUFON. I don't know about the MUFONs. I wouldn't belong to an organization that would have me. Who said that?
Well, true. I've heard that before.
Groucho Marx.
Yes.
Groucho Marx said that.
That's so funny.
Yeah. You know the Jackie Gleason UFO stuff, right?
A little bit, but no. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. Nixon took him to see everything. Yeah. So, I'm out in Joshua Tree, and I'm high up, and they're just around. It's just like, whatever it is, whether it's another dimension of ourselves, you can't tell. Look, when a presidential candidate makes it an electoral talking point, really? I mean, come on, really? Fuck you for telling everybody we're crazy. Fuck you, fuck you. I also had a dream that they all came down, and that they came down, the planets aligned a certain way, and that they came down, and they were not interested in us. They went straight for the people who were doing the damage. That's another thing that I really wish to convey, is that message is very, very strong. We're not coming for you, the meek that will inherit the earth. You know how to do that. Indigenous people know how to do that. We know how, we know how to get water. We know how to live on the earth. Fuck you. You can't fuck up the earth. It won't happen. But you will be taken down. The people that are doing the damage will be taken down. The watchers are watching. That's in the Bible too. The most supernatural book on the planet. I definitely, that it's all there. There's 4,000 years of knowledge on this planet that we're intent on bombing away. Okay? They're not going to let that happen. And I respect that, and I'm grateful for that. I know the watchers are watching. It doesn't matter what you believe or who you believe. You're just a little tiny little organism. Yet your spirit is huge and a part of the whole thing. So this is what we are missing, is that nurturing of the spirit. And we have many spirits with us. We are the sum total of everyone who has come before us. And that's another thing. If you are an immigrant, which we all are, in the United States, then, if your people came through Ellis Island and your name was changed or whatever, they tried their best to erase the old ways and the old traditions and the old history, when in fact that's what we need as Americans to be reaching back to our grandparents, our great-grandparents. Because I'll tell you, I was the first one to go back to Italy, okay, since my grandfather was born here. The only reason my grandparents converted from Catholicism is because the Freemasons didn't take Catholics, you know? So it wasn't until I went back to Italy that I really, really knew my parents. My grandmother's Russian, came through. It was because I was in a rock band and I could travel. I've been to China, you know, because I could travel and I could explore the DNA of my family more than they had the opportunity, because immigrants, once they land in America, all they know is work, and my people worked, you know, and so I had the luxury and the opportunity to go back and, you know, call my grandfather from Italy, you know, and it was a big, big deal. And I understood much more than even my family did, who they were, why they were who they are. And it's a pretty serious thing to erase the past. And that's pretty much what Ellis Island did. And with that, erased a lot of our spiritual history and ancestry as well. And it really is empowering. Not for just the individual. We are a country of individuals. That's the whole point. But an individual is also the sum total of its parts. And when you tap into just the fact that you're in this country is pretty amazing, because it took a lot of work to get here, you know. Sure. And just to tap into that, that's all spirit. That's all spirit, because we're all born with the same body, pretty much, you know. So that was the beginning of really understanding who was on my unseen team, as I like to call them, you know, and everybody has one.
It's amazing that you bring that up, because we're finding in my family, at least on my mother's side, a lot of what we thought was what our heritage was is not at all. It's amazing to find out, like, oh, no, we're not from there at all.
It's no accident
really cool
that these sites and these genetic testing kits now are so popular, you know, because I don't believe you. Even when I was in the 3rd grade, I remember very profoundly thinking, okay, Italians, you came from here, French came from here, you came from here, and blacks, you all were slaves. And in the 3rd grade, I was thinking there's got to be more to these people than just being slaves. I mean, come on, you know. I was in the 3rd fucking grade, man. You know, I mean, come on. I was very confused. You know, people, once again, adults were saying something to me that I knew wasn't right. My little head and my heart knew that I wasn't getting told the whole story, you know, and that leads to a lifetime of subverting your instinct. And it's just, you can't fool all the people all the time. And once you tap into spirit, your power is such that you need to actually control it. It's so strong. It's so strong. And that's why a lot of people drink and everything else, you know, or self-medicate, because you're trying to shut the voice down, because it's telling you something that you're not seeing. It's not getting thrown in your face every day by the media, by television, by radio, by everybody else trying to conform. It's your own voice, and people don't trust that. It gets very warped and very twisted. And so that's where you need to ground yourself somewhere. Spirituality, religion. I'm a spiritualist before anything else. That's it. If somebody, you know, if I had to really pick a team, I know the team I'd be on. Spiritualism exists in every religion on the planet. There is a word for ghost in every language on earth. Why would there be a word for something that doesn't exist in every fucking language on earth? Why?
I don't know. I think we can say that. No, I think we can say. Oh, there we go. Let's. I'm glad we solved that issue. There, perfect. I don't know.
I know.
Let's do this. I've got another email to get to, but let's grab a call. We are talking to someone from the 716. You're on the edge of the unknown with Johnette Napolitano. Who's this?
We're on the edge anymore. I think we're right on in there.
Hey, what's up? Yep. Hey, who's this again? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, David.
Hey, David. David, how are you? You're on with Johnette Napolitano. Hit it.
Hi.
Johnette. I had a great question for you, if you don't mind me asking, and it's a kind of religious. So you say you've got 4,000 years of history to deal with. You just said that. My question is, so if you look at evolution, it took millions of years for us to evolve. Okay? Where were our souls in the meantime?
I don't know where your soul was.
So what, I mean...
I have no idea. Where were your souls in the meantime? I have no idea.
So what... See, that's why I'm a little confused on, because are you saying that our spirituality has been there forever?
Yes.
Infinite?
Yes.
So how do you explain, we evolve, we come about, and then we get a spirit, a soul, or whatever? Is that how you look at it? That's a really good question. But let's talk about stages of evolution. I can walk out into the world right now, and there are some people that have not evolved at all from the dog ripping stage of ripping people's faces off and having to resolve conflicts violently. That is not evolved to me. Okay? So I think that we can actually look at where we are at and see where evolution is going and where it's not going. It's not a linear path, okay? So some people, it's also, once again, free will. It's a matter of choice. Do you want to evolve or do you not? I see plenty of people that are fine the way they are. As long as things don't change, they don't give a fuck what happens to anybody else. That to me is not necessarily evolved, but I appreciate that. If you're at peace where you are, then you're cool, It's not for me to say. But the evolution is not a straight path. I think it's a staggered thing. And I can see where some people are and some people are not. And maybe it's necessary in some places and not necessarily in others. And it depends on what your definition also of evolution is. If evolution is a material thing, like say your concept of an achievement by man is development or building things. And I'm a huge architecture fan, by the way. My huge passion is architecture. If I have another life, I'm coming back as an architect. I subscribe to Arch Daily every morning. I'm blown away by what they're doing as far as sustainable housing and everywhere around the world. That is so in touch with spirit. I can't even believe it. And I'm inspired every day by that, every morning. So the evolution is a personal choice. We all have personal choice. You can do it or you can't. And if you're, once again, your guides will be your ancestors. What was your mom like? What was your dad like? What was your grandfather an explorer? Was your uncle, did he want to be a writer? I discovered that I had an uncle, Luigi. I have an uncle called America, like America, Napolitano, Luigi Napolitano. He wrote an Mussolini poem in 1922 called "Go Mussolini." It was basically like you're in the Pope's pocket, you're fucking the people over. It was unbelievable in Italian, and so it helps to know who you are, and then you decide what evolution is. You decide for yourself what that is to you. Can you do one thing? Can you explain to me who the Watchers are, and then I'm going to let you go.
That if I knew that answer, nobody would be fighting over the Bible. In my opinion, they're just they're watching. They are coming from a higher place than us, and I believe that they have the best interest of the planet at heart. I believe they care. Whether it's from emotion, I have no idea. I don't know them that well. But the physics of it is that if this planet blows up, it will throw the whole solar system off. And that is
that will affect other people. The ripple effect will affect other people. When I say people, I mean life forms in whatever form there is, in galaxies and in places that we don't even know. And that's just what's going to happen, and they won't let that happen. That's why I have a lot of faith. I feel fine about shit. Fat ass, the president, whenever I look at him, and I have experience with Navy doctors, they don't know fuck all. When I look at him, all I see is a big hairball, like a cat in his lower intestine, like a big hairball of McDonald's, like impacted shit in his intestine. And I'm not worried about it because the watchers are watching and they're like, just, oh Jesus. And they're like little kids. They're like watching us like, oh God, we're going to have to slap to the carpet. They're not going to let that happen. Nothing's going to happen. It's not going to happen. They're not going to let it happen because there's more than us. This little planet, you know what I mean? There was an amazing film. It might not be everybody's taste, but Lars von Trier, who's not to everybody's taste as a director, it's called Melancholia, about a planet that it's going to take out the Earth, and they're lying to us. And this little kid figures out with his little wire thing that we're going to crash. We're done. And it's not, like I say, it's not for everybody, but it's pretty profound. It really is worthy of thought. And consideration and contemplation. It really is. It's a great film. But the point is that I think that we're, as egotistical as we like to think we are, and people, it's just like, it's a bigger picture. It's not going to happen. You know what I mean? It's just we're not going to destroy ourselves. There's people that are smarter than us that can put down a little finger. And anybody who is really into UFOs knows that this. Look, you've had respected pilots, doctors, military say that they dodged UFOs. You know what I mean? It's just like they're smarter than you and me. They're up there all the time. Don't listen to me. Listen to them. So I think that they're wherever they're from. I have no idea, but I like to think, and I believe that they're actually looking out for the best interests of the universe. And that we're idiots, and they're just not going to let we have enough to do destroying each other. Okay, it's like it's like a cockfight. It's like watching a cockfight. It's just like here's two chickens with razor blades on their things. We're just going to stand back and watch and kill each other. But it isn't going to take anything down. You know what I mean? That's kind of the way I feel that they see us. Really, that's the way I see us.
David, thanks for the call. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mark. Good night.
Right, take care. Have a great night. Johnette Napolitano, my guest here on The Edge of the Unknown. Now, this is interesting because Dave got through fine. Somebody said they went to voicemail earlier, and I don't know how that happened, but Ghost in the Machine.
Because it's Mercury retrograde, Mark.
Is that what it is? I'm going to start using that more. Mm-hmm. Cool, Dave. I appreciate the call. Tony Frost is
it's true, dude. Please.
Tony
Speaker's
Frost
gone, fridge gone. I just rewired my fridge, flat tire. I didn't count on getting anything done. It's another week. It's done next weekend, so things should start moving a little easier for everybody.
Tony Frost is in chat room. Just wants to say that you are missed in Nashville.
Oh, and I miss Nashville, baby.
Nashville's awesome. It's a great.
You don't pay taxes in that state, bitch.
Or Florida,
I love
right?
You, Tennessee. I love you, Tony. Thank you. And Ovation Guitars. Thank you.
Too funny. Let's do this. Let's wrap things up. I've got to do some other things, but I want to end with another email. This comes from Phil in Des Moines. Hi, Mark. Hi, Johnette. I'm listening to your interview.
Hi.
And of course, I can't formulate what I want to ask, at least not before the show's over. So I just want to say to Johnette, I love your music, love your writing, love your voice, love your energy. Thank you. Thank you, Mark, for the great interview. Looking forward to more from you both. I better send this now. Thanks again. Okay, thanks for sending the email.
That is so sweet.
Phil. What a good way to...
Seriously, I'm telling you, you're going to be my George Noory or Arbel, and I'm going to be your Linda Moulton Howe.
I'm telling you, if you want to...
We'll go ahead and we'll work it, bitch. Absolutely.
If you want to be back, that would be awesome. I hope that you had a good time so far.
I have a million stories, and I could do this forever, so I would absolutely love to. I am so having a good time, and I had a great time, and I thank you so very much.
So, hang on.
You want to squeeze in one more? What time is it? Am I done?
No, I'm going to wrap it up, yeah.
Are you? Okay, can we do one more? And then I can see by the light that my horse is getting pissed off because I haven't served her yet, but I gave her extra day at lunch. So let's do one more because I absolutely love this, Mark. Thank you.
All right, so hang on one second here. I thought we had... Whoops.
Come on. You're a pro.
I know. I'm trying to think. Well, actually, somebody said, can we submit questions? And then they didn't ask a question. He just said, nice, thank you.
I know. It's weird, huh? Well, the next time, Mark, I'll tell you the story of the ghost of the Texas Ladies Man and how that ghost really haunted me at the Driscoll Hotel.
Interesting.
And how Sting's drummer was a witness.
Really? Stuart Copeland saw it?
Tease.
Wow.
Tease.
Okay, now you're definitely coming back
Tease.
on. Tease. All right, hold tight. I'm going to wrap things up here, but hold on the line. I'll talk to you after this. But thank you so much for coming on. I know it's a huge chunk of
Mark.
your time.
I have the best time in the world. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thank you, everybody, for listening and supporting Mark, because it's a great show.
Cool. All right, hold tight. We'll be finishing things up, and I'll talk to you off the air. But again, thanks so much for coming on. This was a blast.
Sure.
All right, gang, this is going to wrap it up for tonight. And I know people keep asking me, are you going to go back to a 3-hour format? After this, maybe. This was a lot of fun. So, 2.5 hours, we can do 3. Do 3 standing on my head when I used to do 9 to midnight was a hell of a lot of fun. Thanks again to my guest, Johnette Napolitano. You can find her at JohnetteNapolitano.net and also on Twitter and Instagram, The Real Johnette. Hey, we'll be back next week talking Wicca and writing as we have Lady Sable Aradia back on the show. That is going to be a blast. Thanks to Mark 9, Dirty Smile, and Amber Lee for providing the musical interludes tonight. Get out there and support your local musicians, shops, and bookstores, everybody. It is imperative and important that you do that. So until next time, everyone, be excellent to each other, and remember to be wary of things that go bump in the night, because you never know. It could be anything. A ghost, a monster, or the guy next door. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.